3.5 hours later, police ran into him again at a 7-Eleven near the boardwalk, where they say he chased a man and hit him with a sledgehammer. Officers spoke with him and the victim, and again, they didn't make an arrest, but they did trespass him from the business there. 11 hours after that, police say he slashed a 13-year-old's neck in a case that made national headlines. This guy Long remains in jail on no bond. But interesting how they interacted with him on 3 different occasions that day. We heard about the sledgehammer. Now we just got this body cam of an earlier incident even before that.
It involved a hammer, I think, for that very first interaction. Well, state investigators are digging for some answers in a boat attack. This happened off the coast of Cuba, and it happened yesterday. The country says its border troops shot and killed 4 people in a speedboat registered in Florida after 4 people on the boat opened fire first.
Yeah, so Cuba is saying that these were Cuban nationals living in the U.S., and they claim they were planning a terrorism plot. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez has the latest on this developing story.
The Cuban government says its troops approached the boat to ask for identification when the shootout began. They say that someone on the boat opened fire, injuring a Cuban commander. Cuban troops shot back, killing at least 4 people. The other 6 injured were arrested and taken to a hospital in Cuba for treatment. Cuban officials now say the people on the Florida registered speedboat were Cuban nationals living in the U.S. Cuban authorities say they found rifles, handguns, Molotov cocktails, bulletproof vests, and camouflage uniforms on that boat. They say the group was planning to carry out terrorism on the island, and that another person arrested in Cuba confessed that he was sent from the U.S. to receive the so-called infiltrators. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. is doing its own investigation and is working to verify the identity of those on board. And once it does, the federal government will figure out its next steps.
We will verify that independently, and as we gather more information, then we'll be prepared to respond accordingly. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to opine on what I don't yet know, but we're going to find out exactly what happened here, and then we'll respond accordingly.
The incident comes amid already heightened tensions between Cuba and the U.S. The Trump administration has blocked nearly all of the oil shipments to Cuba and has threatened tariffs on goods to any country that tries to ship oil to the island. Reporting in the newsroom, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
All right, well, tomorrow we are going to have the chance to press NASA for some serious answers to the lingering problems with the Artemis program. It has been a real concern is that rocket is now back into the vehicle assembly building. NASA leadership, including Administrator Jared Isaacman, plan on holding a press conference tomorrow. They will likely talk about work that has to be done on that SLS rocket that will carry the Artemis 2 mission around the moon. They're also expected to give an update on the Artemis program overall. The SLS rocket for the Artemis 2 mission was just rolled from the launch pad back into the vehicle assembly building. This happened yesterday. Right now, they're trying to figure out about a helium problem that revealed itself when they were doing a couple of wet dress rehearsals. Your Brevard County community correspondent James Barbero will be there asking leadership some of those tough questions tomorrow. You can watch all of that unfold on clickorlando.com. And a lot of people have so many questions about what's happening with this program.
And some big questions should be asked. We're still around 8 years behind initial schedule. Tens of billions of dollars over.
It's a lot of money.
So a lot of questions to answer. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton right now is meeting with a House Oversight Committee in connection with the Epstein files. This is a big national story of the day. You are looking live just outside of where the former Secretary of State's closed-door deposition is happening. Should Clinton come out and speak with the media? We're going to take it live for you right here at 3 p.m. The committee chair says they want to get to the bottom of how Epstein got so rich, how he surrounded himself with some of the most powerful people in the world, really just get a better idea of who this guy was. The Clintons asked to hold the questioning in public, but the head of the committee refused, something a former Secretary of State called a political move.
The Republican member of Congress who is running this hearing or this investigation is trying to protect the president.
It is worth mentioning former President Bill Clinton, who appears in a number of photos in the Epstein files, has a deposition tomorrow. The former president denies any criminal wrongdoing, and he has not been charged. with anything. So we'll see what comes of this, if anything. And we're also very interested when she comes out if she will be willing to talk to a gaggle of media waiting
You know
outside.
they'll be waiting and they'll be shouting questions, so maybe she'll take the time to answer at least one or two of them. Well, a Seminole County business is under investigation for something that's really interesting, and I had not heard of this before. They are a part of a multi-state fraud investigation. So Orlando Gold Refinery, this is in Altamont Springs, is suspected of being a part of a, quote, ongoing organized fraud investigation involving the laundering and melting of gold tied to what's commonly referred to as the gold bar scam. Now, Timothy Odell and John Timmerman were arrested on organized criminal activity and elderly abuse charges. This was out of Texas. Now, your Altamont Springs community correspondent, Catherine Silver, has been digging into this story for us today. She's going to explain what this gold bar scheme actually is, and she'll join us in just about 45 minutes to talk about it. But it's really interesting to hear that. You think of melting down gold into something as in some kind of old-timey crime. Like, who does that? I mean, who does that
from
now?
the Wild West or
That's what it
something.
feels like. So I was like, what is happening?
The other interesting thing about the story, you saw that map pop up.
Yeah.
It is right next to a police station.
yeah.
Whatever they were doing was happening right next to PD. All right, well, a new resource is coming to help those who are victims of domestic violence. This could really help a lot of people. Harbor House of Central Florida announced the beginning of a work on a new transitional housing community. We got some renderings of what those homes will look like. It's specifically for domestic violence survivors and their kids and pets as well. It'll give them a space to safely rebuild their lives beyond the Harbor House emergency shelter. Officials say it's needed, especially as Central Florida continues to face a housing shortage that can leave survivors with very limited options to stay safe after leaving the shelter. It'll be built on the Harbor House campus. No word on when this thing will be finished, but you can see from the renderings there, it looks really nice and like a great place for these victims to be able to stay.
Yeah, that's really good.
Well, AI is everywhere, including apparently when you are in your most desperate situation. I'm talking about 911 calls.
Oh, this is interesting too. Plus, the proposal to keep your kids in their booster seats a little bit longer. All right, we want to give you a heads up right now. Brevard County people, if you or someone you know takes I-95 home or from work, or you're planning on going in this area anytime soon, this is the reason why. Look at your screen. We know that this is now a deadly crash. A stretch of both the northbound and southbound lanes are closed in Mims because of this nasty crash involving a tractor trailer. And again, it is deadly. The screenshot from the Department of Transportation shows the thing was also smoking. It's still smoking quite a bit there. It seems like they have it under control, though. We're also asking FHP what led up to this deadly crash and if they have any estimates on when this road will reopen. Of course, we're going to keep a close eye on this, and we'll bring you the latest updates on air and on clickorlando.com.
A new voice may soon be answering 911 calls in Winter Garden, and it's not human. I'm News 6's Mark Lehman, and on Thursday, city leaders will be voting on a plan to use AI with the 911 call center. A similar program has been rolled out in other cities across Florida, and now the city is hoping for successful results, saying all of this will help them respond to emergencies.
To have a 911 call come in and be able to triage that really, really quickly, I think it'd be great.
Jason Meeker has lived in Winter Garden for a few months and says he's on board with a new plan for how the police department handles calls. On Thursday, commissioners are voting to approve an AI system for non-emergencies.
I really think that most 911 dispatching, centers are usually overworked, and you get to the point where people who really need somebody on the line has to wait.
How can I help you today?
AVA, or Automated Virtual Agent, has been used by Volusia County for about 6 months. When it rolled out, the sheriff told us the system was able to route issues like barking dogs and water main breaks. It can also detect medical emergencies.
The person in the passenger seat says, I think I'm having chest pains. AVA, it was able to pick that up and say, stand by, I'm transferring you to 911.
Volusia has reported higher response times as well. In Winter Garden, the city says only 33% of the calls to the communications center are actual emergencies. The hope is the new AI system can help with staffing shortages and allow dispatchers to focus more on saving lives.
Absolutely can, free up those people to really work with, the emergencies that need a human touch.
The city is looking to approve a 3-year contract for this AI system at a cost of $55,000 per year. All of this will be voted on during Thursday's commission meeting, which is at 6:30. For now, reporting in Winter Garden, Mark Lehman, News 6.
And the thing is, okay, I did the AI, the AVA story in Volusia County late last year, and people think, oh, what if I have a true emergency? I don't want AI trying to figure out. There's always a human listening and taking those calls first.
They're there.
Yeah, but if you hear a dog barking, and AI is going to take that call. And not send it to a person. I talked to a guy who had worked there for 30-something years, just answering 911 calls. He says it has changed his life and his workload.
Wow.
It really has.
Amazing how many non-emergency calls come over 911
They do it
as
for
well
everything,
these days. It's true. Well, this is a story inspiring our poll of the day. You can go to the bottom left of your screen, scan that thing with your camera app, and then you can weigh in on our poll. So here's what it looks like right now. What do you think about AI being used to answer 911 calls? 60% just say, guess what? AI is taking over. 40% have some concerns. I could see that. I think when a lot of people think about this story, they're saying, you're thinking when you call your cell phone company and AI picks up and it just fills you with immediate rage. Yeah. But there is a person who's listening to make sure.
Always
okay.
A person actively listening, because people are afraid, what if AI doesn't understand? It's like, I didn't quite get that. And you have a true emergency. That's not what's going to happen.
Good to know.
Yeah. All right, so your representatives are in Tallahassee. They're working to pass all kinds of legislation this legislative season.
And our social media sleuth, DJ, is taking a look at one bill that you're talking about quite a bit.
Child booster seats. What should the requirements be? That's what people are talking about in the comments of this News 6 Facebook post, talking about a new proposal in Florida that would require booster seats for children as old as 8 years old. Michelle says the longer children are protected by car seats, booster seats, the better. I've never understood why so many parents are in such a rush to throw out the car seats. Kimberly says my child is 9 and I still use a booster seat. I want the seatbelt to fit correctly before she'll ever be allowed without one. David said the requirements for child seats should be height and weight standard, not by age. Children do actually grow at different rates. And Christina quoted our article saying, the requirement doesn't apply to any children who are at least 4 feet, 9 inches tall. Read the article. Christina, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's the QR code that'll take you to our Facebook post where you can weigh in on this booster seat debate and find a link to our article with more information about this proposal. Because if this bill is approved, it would take effect July 1st.
Okay, the perfect answer was read
the article. So many people respond to our headlines, and it's like if you just read the article. And it does matter the size. Some 9-year-olds are way down here, another 9-year-old. You were not.
In my family, the 9-year-olds are 6 feet tall.
This is true.
There's going to be a problem.
It just depends on the kid.
Well, coming up after the break, the AI company looking to remove some of their own safeguards.
Plus, the seasonal deal coming to a popular chain restaurant. We'll talk about that coming up.
I'm News 6 anchor Louis Bolden. Applebee's is rolling out a new drink, and Anthropic scaling back its safety guidelines. Let's get over to Maribel Aber and today's Money Matters. And Maribel, this comes as the company is in an ongoing fight with the Pentagon.
Lewis, AI giant Anthropic, indeed rolling back some of its key safety guidelines. The company posted a new policy that drops its guardrails in favor of a non-binding safety framework. So the move comes, as you mentioned there, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth threatening to blacklist Anthropic. He wants it to abandon its stance against using AI for mass public surveillance or to control weapons. Anthropic was founded by defectors from OpenAI who were worried about the tech's dangers. Lewis.
And on a much lighter note, Applebee's is hoping you'll celebrate St. Patrick's Day with them. What's that about?
Okay, so one casual dining chain we're talking about is marking St. Patrick's Day with this new drink. Applebee's launched a new adult beverage. It's a green one. They call it the Emerald Escape to celebrate the holiday, Lewis. You can get the fruity drink for just $6. You know, Mardi Gras is also still swinging at the restaurant. It launched another $6 drink called the Prickly Cane, which is a take on the famous New Orleans hurricane. Lewis, I'll tell you what, Applebee's is really leaning hard into new drinks to bring customers in. We talked about last week the collab they had featuring gin from Dre and Snoop Dogg.
A lot to check out. We'll have to swing over to Applebee's. Maribel, thank you so much. And remember to get the latest money and consumer news anytime. Just head to clickorlando.com.
I can confirm Lewis Bolden has never been to an Applebee's.
Checking out the drinks at Applebee's. I'm
They
just going to
should
tell
have
you
just,
that
if
about
they
him
want a
right now.
green drink, just go Apple Teeny. It has apple and it's green.
That is a really, really interesting
Call me
idea. I can't
Applebee's.
remember the last time I've been to an Applebee's. I used to go there all the
All the time?
It's been a hot minute. All right, still to come. Mortgage rates at their lowest levels in years. We'll tell you what that means for our housing market right now. Hey, some new perspective today in a deadly shooting that took place outside a bar. Left a lot of people asking questions about what really happened. A 33-year-old died after he was shot early Sunday morning outside Savoy nightclub. Orlando police arrested a man nearby. His lawyer tells your Orlando community correspondent, Troy Campbell, he may have fired the shot in self-defense.
Representing this individual, we're looking at it as there is a potential there for this circumstance that this man might have fired this gun legally.
Yes.
In this incident.
Well, you look, Florida has a very strong self-defense law, and it means that you can protect yourself from a threat of deadly force.
Attorney Mark O'Mara says his client, 37-year-old Jean Borgia de la Madure, might have been justified in the shooting death of 33-year-old Julian Cruz. Orlando police say officers came to investigate reports of a shooting just after 2:30 Sunday morning near Savoy nightclub. The caller says it started with a confrontation that turned physical.
Imagine it. It's 2:30 in the morning. You're driving home, not far from your home. Something happens that makes you stop, and then you have to defend yourself with the use of deadly force. And now he is looking at a potential life sentence.
And O'Mara says at this point, it's still unclear what was the exact reason that caused his client to stop here in the roadway along North Orange Avenue. In the meantime, several days later, you can see a makeshift memorial has been set up for the victim.
Cruz's loved ones could be seen placing candles near the scene on Wednesday night.
There was an altercation. My guy got out of the car, but then other people started coming out of the club. My guy got back in the car.
O'Mara says after speaking with Borgia Gil de la Madure, it's possible someone forced opened his car door moments before the fatal shooting.
You did say that somebody else opened the car door?
It seems as though the person who was initially involved wasn't involved afterwards, that other people came towards my guy's Jeep and opened the car door when he had gotten back in. Quite honestly, if that's what happened, that's what we call a forcible felony in Florida, and you're allowed to protect yourself using deadly force if need be when somebody breaks into your car the way it may have happened.
O'Mara also says so far he doesn't believe Cruz was targeted for being outside of a gay nightclub.
Yes, it seems that Savoy was a gay club and that's where they were, but that seems to be the only connection. My guy was simply driving down the road when whatever happened that got them together.
All right, so some big news for homeowners and soon-to-be buyers here. Mortgage rates falling today to their lowest point and forever in years, right? So Dollars and Cents correspondent Donovan Myrie joins us now to explain what this means for people, and specifically, is this a good time to refinance?
Well, it all depends, Ginger. So what are we talking about? We're talking about mortgage rates have dropped, okay? Mm-hmm. And what we found out today, rates have dropped below 6% for the first time in 3 years. That 5.98% is the average rate, and it was reported by Freddie Mac. About a year ago, rates were about 6.76%. So the big question is, if you have a mortgage that has a high rate, should you refinance? And the answer is, it really depends on that rate. If you're looking at something that's at 7% or 8% or so, you might not want to refinance right now because, again, you're going to have to put money into refinancing that mortgage. You're going to have to stay in the house for a while, and then we'll see. Give yourself a little bit. This is a really good barometer to see where rates are going. You might want to wait until it gets down to like 5.5%, 4%, or that anything under 4% to do your refinancing. So here's the big question. Mm-hmm. What about buyers? What about them? Yeah. This is good news for buyers because this is rates are going down. Buyers are now going to get in. Sellers are going to get more buyers. Inventory is going to start moving. This is what President Trump wanted. It's just probably taking a lot longer than he really wanted it to take.
Okay, when we talk about buyers, are we talking about first-time home buyers or just buyers in general?
I think a little bit of both. The problem with buyers in general, you might be in an older house and you're in another mortgage. And again, that's that whole thing of like, boomers stay put, okay? Because they're sitting on mortgages of like 3 or 4%, and they're gonna end up with a mortgage now at 6%. That's not gonna move them. But those first-time buyers, people getting out of like apartments or out of like their mom and dad's basement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is a start, okay? This is a start. If you're really into a house and you're like, I gotta buy it now because I'm gonna miss it, this is great news for you.
Yeah, and that's great for a lot of young people who've been saving and waiting for this moment to live the American dream. They can get in possibly into a home right now.
Right, and that 6% mortgage, that's that barrier. People are waiting for it to get to under 6% because that means it's going in the right direction. We've seen a decline of the last 4 months. Hopefully, it will continue to drop, continue to drop. This is all of this buildup of the Fed, all this buildup of house inflation, and hopefully we're now starting to see some really good signs of relief.
Yeah, and when we're talking about just below 6%, that is right just below that
6%.
threshold,
It is
right?
right
So people
there,
are really,
yeah.
and so hopefully it'll stay there and continue to decline.
Right, and again, lowest rates since about 2022, so about 3.5 years or so.
Okay, well, that's really good news. So for all the people who are looking to get those homes for the first time, this might be your shot. But there are a lot of people like that out there, so you're going to have a lot of competition out there.
Yeah, and again, this is a start. So, it's like anything else. You play 21, do you stop at 16, 17, or do you go for bust?
I don't know how to play 21, so it's fine. But those of you who do, you understand exactly what he's talking about. All right, thanks, Donovan. Matt.
Well, prosecutors say they have nabbed a thief whose fingerprints were all over the state. Take a look at State Attorney General James Uthmeyer announced this guy, Keith Wallace, was arrested on 2 counts of organized retail theft, 3 counts of dealing in stolen property, money laundering, all felony charges. Investigators say between last July and this month, he stole from 75 Target locations from Orlando all the way to Miami. His scheme, here's what he'd do. He'd pick up a bunch of trading card boxes and taco seasoning packets.
What?
I know, it doesn't make sense, right? He then goes to the self-checkout line and he just pays for the seasoning.
Okay.
Not the cards. Then he goes home, sells the stolen cards on eBay. Officials say he stole $10,000 in cards from Target and he made about 40 grand on this. Investigators are also looking into other thefts at Walmart and Publix. If found guilty on all the charges, this guy could get something like 90 years in prison. But imagine if he used his powers for good. He was working hard on this whole situation.
I just don't, but for self-checkout, if you've ever used the self-checkout, and I do it quite often wherever I go, if there's an opportunity, they have people there keeping a hawk's eye on you. They are watching. So I don't understand how this guy was able to do that as many times as he was able to do it.
It's all about that taco season.
I
That's
guess.
how he snuck around
now everybody
somehow.
knows. You've ruined it for everyone. All right, well,
You're going to get searched next time you buy some tacos.
He's not going to have a chance. A proposal to limit the number of out-of-state and international students at some Florida universities is set to go before the Florida House of Representatives. Now, the House Education and Employment Committee approved a bill today to require preeminent state universities to reserve 95% of new fall enrollments for Florida students. The current limit is right now at 90%. Proponents say it's to help more in-state students stay in the Sunshine State.
This bill is in no way about lowering standards for admission. Let's keep our state university system #1, but let's do it with more of our incredibly talented students right here in the state of Florida.
So among the schools that would be impacted, UF, USF, FIU. UCF is expected to be designated as a preeminent state research university sometime later this year.
You know why those schools like those international students? Same reason they like the out-of-state students.
It's money.
They pay a
money.
lot more money than those in-state kids. Well, a bill that passed the Florida Senate could reshape how you pay for things out at the store. We've reported on how pennies are going the way of the dodo. Well, we've got to figure.
People are like, what's a dodo?
Exactly. That's what people are going to say in the future. What's a penny? So with the supply now limited, this bill now establishes rounding procedures when a business can't give exact change to those paying with cash. Purchases involving cash sales ending in 1, 2, 6, or 7, they round down to the nearest nickel. And sales ending in 3, 4, 8, or 9, they'll be rounded up to the nearest nickel.
The bill establishes clear, uniform rules for rounding cash transactions up to the nearest nickel, while ensuring that sales taxes, fees, and surcharges are not affected.
I mean, they have to figure this thing out somehow.
Oh my
so
gosh.
a similar bill also ready for consideration in the full House.
I'm
as we
sad
say
to see the penny go. No, I see a penny on the ground. I cannot, unless it's face down. I can't pass it up. Do you not pick up pennies when you see it?
I can't
Do you not have
remember.
a jar full of pennies at home?
I don't have a jar full of pennies. I haven't seen a penny in a while, but it costs way more money to make a penny than a penny is actually worth. So.
Well, I'm not making it if I'm just finding it on the ground. You sound you sound rich. You sound rich. Okay.
Okay.
Now to an investigation in South Florida that has some officials worried about what could possibly be going on. Team members from FWC, Zoo Tampa, and the Lee County Sheriff's Office rescued a manatee from the river that was showing signs of distress. And just last week, more than 24 manatees were found dead in nearby waterways there. Officials are now working to figure out if the two incidents are actually connected.
As the biologist, our job is to collect the animals, take them to the rehab facility, or send them for further analysis by a veterinarian and pathologist. So we are just kind of the boots on the ground. These guys have to be examined by veterinarians and pathologists to get cause of stranding, cause of distress, and cause of death.
So that distressed manatee was taken to SeaWorld for rehab, and we know that they do such great work there, and thank goodness they're right in our own backyard.
Yeah, SeaWorld has saved a lot of those manatees.
That's for sure. All right, we'll get another check of your forecast after the break, when we might see some beneficial rain in the forecast.
Plus the Orlando Pride showing off some new kits. We'll talk about that coming up.
Your Thursday evening traffic alert. You're going to see those lane closures and ramp closures overnight. Westbound I-4 approaching State Road 528. Make sure you're paying attention out here, please. A lot of stuff going on daytime and nighttime, but the closure specifically at night. Then east and westbound along 528 out by Goldenrod, lane closures there. Then a complete closure of the Florida Turnpike. Southbound lanes will be shut down right at US 192. They're going to detour you guys down towards Kissimmee Park Road. Make sure you're paying attention, please. I'm Trooper Steve with your News 6 traffic alert. Drive safely. I'll catch you in the morning.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Bill Ray Nissan Longwood. We do it the right way.
Let's take a live look at Daytona Beach from our beach cam. Pretty gorgeous day out
nice.
there. Some people like it cooler, some people like it warmer. Today, everybody should be happy. I'm here with meteorologist Michelle Morgan. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course.
We do have some rain that we desperately need
We do.
on the way
Yes.
for the week, Friday, Saturday. kind of
Friday,
area.
Saturday, but it's not going to rain all day. So if you
Good.
have any plans later on, I think we're okay. But we do need the beneficial rain because unfortunately the drought concerns, they are continuing to worsen. So here's what you need to know. For today and tomorrow, we're back in the 80s, very warm. But of course, with the warm and also dry conditions, the critical fire weather will continue to increase. Because of that, a red flag warning is in effect through today until 6. So very dry, no outdoor burning is recommended, but then scattered rain moving in Friday evening into Saturday morning. So there's a red flag warning for many counties here across Central Florida. That includes Lake, Volusia, Seminole, Orange, Osceola, and parts of Brevard counties. And that's through 6, as I mentioned. Live look outside. Gorgeous shot of the downtown area. This is from our Light Orlando, delivering hope together camera. 77 degrees, a few clouds here and there. We're at 79 around 5, 74 around 7, and then 68 degrees around 9 if you do have any evening plans. Staying dry. Temperatures right now are comfortable in the 70s and lower 80s here across the board. Your forecast for the rest of today heading into tonight, again, those overnight temperatures dipping into the lower 60s. So tomorrow it'll be chilly, but we're not dealing with very cold weather like those 20s and those 30s.
So cool, not cold.
Cool, not cold.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to that as we head into tomorrow. So getting the kids ready for school tomorrow should be fine. So there's a quick check of your overnight lows, 50s and lower 60s here. So the rain chances will begin to go up Friday evening into Saturday. A few showers possible Sunday morning, but let's go ahead and talk about the timing. Looking good through today. A few isolated showers are possible early Friday. But ahead of that cold front, look at all this rain moving in. This is Friday night, stopping the clock at 10, looking at some pockets of heavy rain moving across the peninsula. That is going to last through much of your Saturday morning. So, of course, I'll be tracking that early on Saturday, and then some spots could pick up between 1 to 2 inches. So I'll leave you here with your 7-day. You can see temperatures here will be at 85 degrees tomorrow, 77 on Saturday, and then 79 on Sunday.
Timing seems nice. At least it's overnight and we could still enjoy our weekend.
Yeah, of course. So make sure to download our new 6 weather app. Our hurricane app is built in. It sends personalized weather alerts and gives you access to our radar. Search WKMG in your app store.
All right, I want to circle back to a story that we spoke about earlier on in this show. It was about an alleged gold bar scam. Your Altamont Springs community correspondent, Catherine Silver, giving us some more details on this, Kath.
Hey, Matt, I'm standing right outside of Orlando Gold Refinery. It is off of 436 right near Ronald Reagan. And records show that 2 men who have connections to this store are now facing charges related to this multi-state fraud investigation. Now, I want to show you some video from the jail. This is just from this afternoon when both of these men faced a judge. Their names are Timothy Odell and John Timmerman. Their arrest reports show Odell was arrested at his home in Longwood yesterday, and Timmerman turned himself in at the police station in Altamont. Both are facing charges out of Texas for engaging in organized criminal activity and financial abuse of the elderly. Now, authorities in Texas say the jewelry store here in Altamont is tied to this gold bar scam where a ring of criminals targeting seniors pose as law enforcement or other officials, get the victims to take out money and buy gold. Detectives say the gold then ends up places like Orlando Gold Refinery, where it is melted down and moved through affiliated businesses. Now, we have been working to learn more about Odell and Timmerman's involvement in this crime. We'll share more from their hearing this afternoon and what else we're learning from authorities in Texas today coming up on News 6 at 4. For now, I'm live in Altamont. Catherine Silver, News 6.
Seems like an elaborate scheme, supposedly taking advantage of some of our most vulnerable.
I just learned
Silver.
a whole lot from that one report. Yeah, Catherine, thank
you very much. Let's brighten things up. Got a big announcement.
With me? Yes,
of course. You always do that. This is a big announcement from the Orlando Pride.
And I was so jealous. A lot of people, if you're a soccer fan, people were jealous of you today, Lisa. You got the first glimpse of their new kits.
Absolutely, AKA jerseys, for those in the know.
For the Americans.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, so yeah, only News 6 was there for this giant unveiling at Lake Eola Park, down at the band shell. So we got to see the Unity kit, which will be the secondary jersey for the Orlando Pride's 2027 season. Take a look. It was pretty cool. So this kit is meant to honor the strength, togetherness, and unbreakable spirit of the community 10 years after the Pulse mass shooting. And that was that unveiling where we were there earlier today. Yeah, that was at Lake Eola in downtown Orlando this morning when the organization unveiled the giant jersey that is inside the band shell for the next several weeks. You'll likely see that on display there. I asked the organization's creative director about the different symbols on this new jersey and the meaning behind them.
It really is all about how the community came together and the strength and the resilience of Orlando during those tough times. As you can see, kind of the interlocking ribbon pattern that symbolizes that strength and resilience. You'll also notice a little detail down in the bottom corner, what we call the jock tag. That image is of a dove holding an olive branch, you know, the universal signs of peace and love.
So the Orlando Pride will be hosting an official jersey launch party from 6 to 8 o'clock tonight at the Final Whistle in Thornton Park, where you can buy that new kit. The Orlando Pride will also be donating $20,000 as part of the launch from jersey sales to the Center Orlando, which is an organization that provides support for the LGBTQ plus community. Now, we have more information on how to buy a new kit at clickorlando.com. By the way, the Orlando Pride season opener is March 15th against the Seattle Reign at Inter & Co Stadium.
Now's the time to get your kit fit.
There you go.
I love
she could
it.
go on and on and on. Yes, yeah.
What did you think of him in person when you saw the thing?
Well, that was really cool. It was
Yeah.
huge. And you don't realize how big it is until you go and stand up next to the kit and you realize just how giant it is. But it's nice. It's very nice, very emblematic of our community.
Yeah.
The symbols, obviously, very meaningful, marking 10 years after the Pulse nightclub's tragedy.
Yeah.
And of course, if you've ever been to Inter & Co Stadium, they do have those 49 seats inside the stadium that are rainbow colored in honor of the 49 people who were killed
very
during
nice.
Pulse.
Yeah, good looking jerseys.
All right, we're going to talk about a new trend called kidulting. Now, Ginger, I know you love jazzercise.
You know I do.
She's a big jazzerciser.
This would be news to me.
So from jazzercise to CrossFit, there's been a number of fitness trends over the years, but a new one is looking to do more than just get people up and moving. So a UK gym is offering what they call kidulting fitness classes. Organizers say it's all about channeling your inner child with playground and gym class games, making exercise fun again, and it does more than just help people stay in shape.
I think it just kind of gives you a chance to reminisce. It also gives you a chance to sort of revisit that period of your life which you thought was gone and you're not going to get back.
So research shows when exercise is playful, people are far more likely to make it a habit. Adults who engage in playful, childlike activities also report better cognitive function and memory as they age. I don't know, I have to tell you, as a mom of two boys, I find all of that exhausting. The parachute, the running under the thing. I'm not doing wheelbarrow. I know, but if they want me to participate, I don't know, it just wears me out.
I think it'll help you stay in shape and stay single all at the same time.
Okay, whatever. I was going to say.
That or jazzercise.
Listen, if you see Matt right before the 3 o'clock show, he does some kind of sidewinding thing because he says,
He
it's
does
giving
like
me
a
energy.
kick or
It's called a
something, yeah.
karaoke, if you've ever played football.
I have not. And from the looks of things, you barely played.
That's what you guys should do as a wheelbarrow.
We'll do wheelbarrows tomorrow
Oh, we're
before
not
the
doing
show.
any of that. Okay, it's something we talk about all the time. The biggest danger at the beach. It's not sharks, and it's probably the water itself.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is very terrifying, but we're going to tell you all about the new tool that's going to help talk about the rip current risks that are right off our coast. We'll have that for you coming up after the break.
Spring break is just a couple of weeks away, and with the warmer weather comes increasing concerns for beach safety. I'm News 6's Mark Lehman. We are at Daytona State College, where a rip current simulator is being demonstrated. Now we're getting a first-hand look at how exactly this works and the plan to raise awareness and how this will educate swimmers about the dangers of rip currents.
The rip current is a river of water flowing out to sea.
Churning up turbulence at Daytona State College, these portable pumps are the newest tool for Volusia County beach safety, showing what it's like to get caught in a rip current.
We're the first lifeguarding agency to use this rip current simulator anywhere in the country.
The slipstream equipment was bought using grants through the Department of Children and Families. They're bringing in a twofold benefit: practice sessions for lifeguards and educational outreach for families.
And then physically put them in the pool into the simulator to practice those skills before they get in the open ocean environment.
It's the closest controlled simulation of a rip current, pushing out around 3,000 gallons a minute.
I guess the best way to describe is that, like, if you're running on a treadmill and just like wind right in your face and you're just like not going anywhere.
So I gave it a try myself.
All right, so now you're in it, so I want you to try and swim against it.
And was immediately overwhelmed by the rush of water.
So once you realize you're in it and you're not going anywhere, you're going to signal for help. And then what you want to do is you're going to swim parallel to shore.
With Volusia seeing more than 2,000 ocean rescues a year, the hope is experiencing this will give swimmers further insight in how to survive a rip current.
The more people we can get involved in this program and into these simulators, the better off and the more safe our waters are going to be here in Volusia County.
From here, Volusia Beach Safety will be using these simulators as training tools, and going forward, the community will be able to experience something like this during education classes that are expected later in the spring. In Daytona Beach, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Yeah, even under controlled circumstances, that still looks frightening. All right, we're getting ready for News 6 at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, coming up, News 6's Tylisa Hampton is going to be taking a look at a new bill in Tallahassee that is looking to do something about those speedy e-bikes that so many kids are using right now. News 6 at 4 starts right now.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 4.
It's a push for e-bike regulations coming up. I will share more about this bill that was recently passed in the Senate and what people have to say who want more safety measures.
And we are seeing body cam video showing the moments officers stopped a man hours before they say he slashed a teen in the neck.
Dry weather continues. Relative humidities are low. That's fueling some of the fire threat that we have across Central Florida. We'll talk about the expansion of our drought and the latest drought update in a few minutes.
And we're going to check in with Jonathan in just a few minutes. But first at 4, we are starting off with breaking news out of Brevard County. Firefighters are keeping an eye on a fire near businesses and a school.
It's happening in the Melbourne area, right off Business Center Boulevard near Holy Trinity School. Your Brevard County community correspondent James Barbero just got to the scene. James, what are you seeing out there?
So I have good news, ladies. So the school is the Holy Trinity School here near Palm Bay, near Melbourne and Palm Shores. It's just past the woods where the fire broke out about 1 o'clock today. They told me that firefighters told them that the fire's contained now. So that's the good news. I want to show you where firefighters are still staged out here. I'm in the area of Wickham Road and the Pineda Causeway, just south of there. So the firefighters staged here, and then they opened a gate here at this chain link fence, and then they went to work in there. And so did some helicopters to help contain the fire. And I've seen a couple firefighters leave the scene right now, but they are going to be staying on scene as well, just to keep an eye on things. But the good news is, according to the Holy Trinity School, is that the school's okay, nothing's damaged, everybody's okay. As a precaution, after the fire broke out around 1 o'clock, as I mentioned, they got the kids home from school early. Faculty is on their way home now, and any after-school activities have been canceled. But fortunately, firefighters did a great job. They knocked it down.
All right, James Barbero reporting live for us. James, thank you. Meantime, north of Melbourne in Mims, Florida Highway Patrol tells us a deadly tractor-trailer crash caused a brush fire. This is on I-95. This is in the area of Blunt's Ridge and Orantia roads. Now, we're told both the north and southbound lanes are closed as a result of this. So if you know someone going in that area, tell them about this situation. And if you look closely at this DOT camera, you can still see smoke from the brush fire in the distance there, that thick black smoke that's rising up. We're told the fire has led to the evacuations of 2 homes so far. When we get an update on what's going on out there, we'll bring it to you both on air and online. The fire danger remains high today.
Yes, it does. Let's check in with meteorologist Jonathan Kagas with everything we need to know right now. Jonathan?
Yeah, we're watching that brush fire around Mims right now, just north of it, right off of I-95. You can track that, the radar catching the smoke plume there, exiting out over the side of the Atlantic with the breeze now shifting out of the southwest, and that's the other reason. We've talked about this really the entirety of the weekend before that the increased fire danger comes with that trifecta, of course. We are in an expanding drought. The air is pretty dry, and now we have the wind component back, and that's helping to fuel this. You see the winds gusting out of the south and west in and around Titusville and Mims to about 20 to 25 miles an hour. Same deal just up the road, New Smyrna Beach as well. So as long as we keep this breeze around, that's going to make things harder, obviously, for the firefighters. Relative humidity, it's doing okay. I'd like it to be a little bit higher, but at least we're not in the teens and 20s. So that means there's some moisture in the air. It's very, very little, though, and again, that's why we have the increased fire danger through the rest of this afternoon. We'll talk much more on the expanding drought. The only spot in Central Florida, in the state of Florida, was northern Brevard County until today. Now officially in a drought. We'll break that down at about 4:17, guys.
Hey, go ahead, put the hammer down. Go ahead. Okay, walk away from the hammer.
We are getting a first look at the body cam video of officers confronting the man accused of randomly slashing a 13-year-old's neck. Now, that was actually earlier in the day before that neck attack. Officers arrested the man on Valentine's Day near the Daytona Beach boardwalk.
News 6 was the first to uncover it. Was not the first time, his first time getting in trouble with police that very same day. Your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed has been following this story, and she has the video.
I found Daytona Beach police had 2 run-ins with Jermaine Long before they say he attacked the teen. Now, this video we got today is from their first encounter with him that day. But in it, they ask him about an object he had that he would later use in an attack.
Were you threatening to hit anyone with a hammer?
No, absolutely not. This body camera video shows Daytona Beach police questioning Jermaine Long at a house. They ask him what he wanted from the person who lives there and why he wouldn't leave.
Then he came in here with a hammer, said that if he didn't give a name, he was going to hurt him, but he never raised it or anything like that.
This was around 8 a.m. on February 14th. Officers let Long go with a trespass warning.
Did y'all want him trespass?
Yeah, I won't come back. You don't got to worry about that.
Did y'all want him trespass? So
you trespass from the property. If you come back, you will be arrested for trespassing.
But 3 hours later, police were called for him hitting someone with a sledgehammer. Officers spoke with the victim and found Long with the tool. They trespassed him again, but did not arrest him. Then, hours later, police say he randomly attacked and slashed a teen's neck. That's when they finally arrested him, eventually charging him in the sledgehammer incident too.
That's still being investigated.
I asked Chief Jakari Young about that. He says the department is reviewing the officer's actions.
Obviously, I wish it would have been handled differently, but there's some factors that aren't being made public at this point in time because we're still looking at everything.
Long's charges on the teen were just upgraded to attempted murder. Now, I did ask police for the body camera from the other 2 incidents, but I'm told those will not be released as they're part of an active investigation. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
We are learning prosecutors have decided not to file charges against a man caught on camera disciplining his young stepdaughter. We showed you the video after it went viral last week, and Sanford police addressed it publicly. Your Seminole County community correspondent Catherine Silver has the update.
The video that has been seen millions of times is upsetting and difficult to watch. We do want to give you that warning again before we show it to you. This is what the state attorney's office has been reviewing for the last week, along with follow-up reports from different agencies. It shows a man grabbing and striking his stepdaughter. There's also some harsh language involved.
No, I'm tired of listening to this every
The state attorney's office is choosing not to file charges for two reasons. One, because Florida law gives significant leeway when it comes to disciplining children, and because law enforcement said the young girl involved did not have any physical injuries. The state attorney's office says the stepfather was disciplining the girl for misbehaving and fighting with one of her siblings in the car on their way to Sanford. Ultimately, they say they cannot file charges because the facts of the case do not support filing child abuse. In Seminole County, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
The state attorney's office for Orange and Osceola County is considering the death penalty for the man accused of killing 3 tourists. This morning, a grand jury formally charged Ahmaud Bourget on 3 counts of first-degree murder. Those charges are capital felonies. The 3 men were in town for a car show last month when investigators say Bourget randomly shot and killed them outside of the home they were staying. In 2021, Bourget was arrested for shooting at someone and random cars at a Kissimmee gas station parking lot. In a bench trial, a judge acquitted Bourget by reason of insanity. As part of a conditional release, Bourget was barred from having a gun. Today, the state attorney discussed what's next for the triple murder case.
We recognize that no legal process can undo what has been taken from them. However, we remain committed to honoring their lives through a process that is thorough, lawful, and resolute.
The prosecutor in this case can turn it over to the office's capital case review panel, which will determine if the death penalty is warranted. If they do, a notice of intent to pursue capital punishment will be filed.
We are learning the mom of an 8-year-old accused of bringing a gun to a playground is now also facing charges. We told you about this earlier this week on News 6 at 4. It happened on Friday at the park inside the Clyde Morris Landings apartment complex. That's right off Clyde Morris Boulevard near LPGA Boulevard in Daytona Beach. According to an arrest report, investigators say the 8-year-old pointed a gun at someone. Police arrested the boy, and he's now facing a charge of aggravated assault with a weapon. Today, the Daytona Beach Police Chief answered questions about the investigation.
I'm not surprised by any of it at this point. I'm fortunately not. I'm not surprised at all. He was charged, and we also filed an affidavit on his mother for, child neglect and allowing that kid to have access to that firearm. It was just another unfortunate incident that shouldn't have happened.
The chief is reminding parents with guns to have a gun safe and to know what's in your child's room.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton answered questions under oath from the House Oversight Committee today in connection with the Epstein files. The closed-door meeting took place near her home in New York. Lawmakers questioned her about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer laid out some of those questions.
How was he able to surround himself with some of the most powerful men in the world? Was he an asset for our government or any other government?
Now, the Epstein files contain photos of powerful men, including both President Trump and former President Bill Clinton. Mr. Clinton's deposition is set for tomorrow. Both deny any criminal wrongdoing and have not been charged in connection with the late disgraced financier. Well, coming up in the next half hour, we'll tell you about the latest that came out of the House Oversight Committee meeting that happened today.
Now to a multi-state gold bar scam. Detectives say seniors were pressured to buy gold, then hand it over.
The investigation that's leading detectives to a jewelry shop in Central Florida, that's coming up. Plus,
my wife and a few other people formed the Historical Society basically to save this house.
The first black family in Clermont built more than a home. The legacy still standing today. That's next. You're watching News 6 at 4 as we take a live look at our camera in Daytona Beach. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
What's up, insiders? This week, I got crabs at High Tide Harry's. This spot has been vetted by locals for the past 3 decades.
We're fortunate to see a lot of locals where they've been supporting us since the day we opened 31 years ago.
And if it swims, they probably sell it. Look at this guy. Finally! Okay, that's a good piece. To watch the full episode, go to clickorlando.com/insider and sign up to be an insider today. It's free, easy, and the only way to keep up with all my foodie adventures all around Central Florida. And while you're there, nominate your favorite teacher for the News 6 Educator of the Week Award at clickorlando.com/educator of the week. Sponsored by Osborne, Francis, and Pettis Law Firm.
Black History Month is wrapping up in just a few days, but you can learn about the first Black residents of Clermont year-round.
Yeah, the home of James and Sally Townsend is part of the Clermont Historic Village. The couple also founded a church that is still serving today. News 6's Ashley Garrett shows us how they made a lasting impact through education, religion, and community health.
James and Sally Townsend, the first Black family to settle in Clermont.
It was very segregated during that time. And well, in Clermont, it wasn't that many people, especially Black people here at that time.
The year was 1887. The Townsends moved from Georgia to Lake County.
He caught this beautiful fish, and they figured it was a sign from God that this was the place they were to live and be successful.
James and Sally later becoming the founders of St. Mark AME.
It was the first church for African Americans in Clermont. It still exists today.
Sally, a midwife, known to many as Aunt Sally.
If she didn't deliver you, she delivered your cousin, your brother, 3 of your classmates, maybe even your parents.
Yet another way the Townsends promoted unity in the community. James, a handyman too.
He ordered the materials and they built their home with help from friends.
Built in 1895, having once stood on Highway 50. Later picked up and moved to the Clermont Historical Society.
My wife and a few other people formed the Historical Society basically to save this house.
That group now preserving the home.
The original floorboards, those are the original wall boards.
James and Sally Townsend, known for breaking the mold.
During that time, when Clermont was very segregated, Aunt Sally and Uncle James were buried in the white cemetery. And she had everybody in town came out to her funeral, black and white.
Likely just how the Townsends would have wanted it to be. Ashley Garrett, News 6.
Well, it's nice that they are remembering that legacy in that community.
Absolutely.
All right, time now for a look at our forecast with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. Jonathan, we talked about all the wildfires burning, that drought monitor not looking great right now.
It's not. So I want to start with last week's monitor first, because I want to show you the change. There was one spot that technically was not considered to be in a drought throughout the entire state of Florida. That was our little yellow area here that's abnormally dry, so not officially in a drought. Well, today's was released, and you see that yellow vanish. We are now in a moderate drought in parts of northern Brevard County. So that is now the entire state of Florida, at least in some kind of designation as a drought. Of course, we still have the red in play here. Didn't get any rain between last week, so the extreme drought across parts of Volusia, Lake, Marion, and Flagler County continue. The southern part of Brevard also considered to be in the extreme drought status. Now, we do have rain in the forecast. Certainly going to be welcome. Not going to bust the entirety of the drought, but we will take what we can get. 75 right now in Mount Dora. Good evening, New Smyrna. We are at 77. Ocala, we're back to 79. Groveland, we are at 78 degrees. Looking very nice outside right now. Live look in downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando delivering Hope Skycam. Just a few passing clouds out there. Temperatures back to the upper 70s under a mainly clear sky with those passing clouds in the mix. The breeze is now out of the south-southwest at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. It's pumping in all of that warmth that is going to continue to grow as we get into tomorrow. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Renewal by Anderson.
We talked about this warm up over the last couple of days. Now we're starting things off hanging around 60 degrees. Averages in the mid 50s. We're right around 60 in Kissimmee. Back to Celebration, Denellen, we are at 54 degrees. Titusville hanging around 60 as well. 57 in New Smyrna, Bunnell, Palm Coast. Good evening. We are back into the mid 50s. And then tomorrow afternoon, we surge back into the low to mid 80s. Rain chances going up to 70%. Most of this is for the second half of your afternoon as this system we've been talking about for the last week starts to approach. Now, this particular high-resolution model wants to push in the rain as we close in on dinner time as well. So watching for that opportunity for some rain and even a couple of rumbles of thunder to be pushing through for the commute time home to start your weekend tomorrow. So we'll be watching that closely. And then you see the moisture continue to funnel in off of the Gulf out ahead of this cold front that crosses on Saturday. As that front comes through, as we get deeper into the morning and through the early afternoon, another round of thunderstorms is likely, especially along and southeast of I-4. Here's the opportunity for some rain, half inch, potentially an inch of rain. If you get stuck in one of those thunderstorms, would not be surprised if you could get on an isolated scale closer to 2 inches of rain. So certainly, I think there's going to be some good rain coming for some of us. Not everybody's going to get it, but nonetheless, we are going to increase those rain chances again with that push of moisture coming in off of the Gulf. Rain chances go up to 70% on Saturday. That's mainly going to be along and southeast of I-4. Orlando City back in town again. Temperatures back to the upper 70s. Rain chances by the game time will be out of here. So it should be a very nice night for the match. 81 on Monday, back to the upper 70s on Tuesday. Rain chances then pop back up to 40% on Thursday.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Spring break is coming up, and some are concerned about their upcoming trips to Mexico.
Yeah, violence along the west coast of the country as people questioning what this means for popular tourist destinations. We'll explain what to watch out for. That's next. A live look now at downtown Orlando. This is from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Light Orlando.
All right, take you outside right now for a live look. This is from our Launch Credit Union Port Cam at Port Canaveral. You know, a lot of people are probably planning to take a cruise to Mexico for a spring break or a vacation. But the recent wave of violence on Mexico's west coast has some people worried about new attacks in popular destinations.
News 6 investigator Donovan Myrie explains what you need to know.
On Sunday, Mexican government forces killed the head of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, Nemesio Ruben Osoguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho. The Mexican state of Jalisco was briefly rocked by violence, raising concerns here in the U.S. about travel and tourism.
No one should ever tell you what is safe and not safe. That's up to you as a consumer to make that decision. What we will say is it's important to understand the facts of what is actually happening.
Jen Lee is the president and CMO of Maitland-based Travel Planners International.
Mexico is a huge country with 32 different cities, very much like how we are here in the United States. So right now we have friends and travel advisors and customers that are in the affected area, and they said everything has gone back to normal.
Lee pointed to the fact that Jalisco is on the western side of the country, while many popular tourist destinations like Cancun and Cozumel are on the eastern side. Cruise expert Stuart Sharon says most tourists are in good shape because of the flexibility of cruise lines.
The good thing about cruise vacations is that it's not dependent on an actual destination, meaning if there is geopolitical issues, if there's unrest, there's violence, the cruise lines can, as they're floating resorts, they can go to different ports or extend visits to others.
So what's the bottom line? Both Lee and Sharon say for now, the worst of the violence seems to be behind us. Travelers to Mexico should, however, follow these 3 steps. Continue to monitor events in the country, sign up for State Department alerts, and if possible, buy travel insurance that covers cancellations for emergency evacuations. In the newsroom, Donovan Myrie, News 6.
All right, Donovan, good to know. Thank you. Well, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is facing a House committee for a closed-door testimony related to the Epstein investigation.
What she shared with lawmakers coming up.
3 jewelry stores in 3 states raided in connection to a gold bar scam. What we're learning about the arrests here in Altamont Springs.
Several residents were looking to come back to the 1876 Heritage Inn right here in Orange City after a truck crashed into the facility last weekend. But unfortunately, it will take a little bit longer. We'll tell you why.
Welcome back. We are following several top stories right now. We're getting a first look at body cam video of Daytona Beach police confronting the man accused of randomly attacking and slashing a 13-year-old's neck.
Officers arrested Jermaine Long on Valentine's Day near the Daytona Beach boardwalk. Police say officers had 2 run-ins with Long before they say he attacked the teen that day. In this video, police were questioning him about an object he had and that officers say he later used in another attack. Long remains in jail tonight on no bond. We are learning prosecutors have decided not to file charges against a man caught on camera disciplining his young stepdaughter. We showed you this video after it went viral last week, and Sanford police addressed it publicly. Ultimately, they say they cannot file charges because the facts do not support the filing of child abuse charges. The state attorney's office for Orange and Osceola County is considering the death penalty for the man accused of killing 3 tourists this morning. A grand jury formally charged Ahmad Bourget on 3 counts of first-degree murder. The prosecutor in this case can turn it over to the office's capital case review panel, which will determine if the death penalty is warranted.
A widespread fraud investigation in multiple states leads to 2 arrests right here in Central Florida. Detectives say the crime ring laundered stolen gold bought by people who were scammed. One of the businesses under investigation, Orlando Gold Refinery in Altamont Springs. Your Seminole County community correspondent, Catherine Silver, is live at the jewelry store, which was raided this week. Catherine.
Yeah, that is right off of 436. This store is actually also right next to the police station in Altamont. You can see there's a closed sign on the door today. There is no sign that this place was raided as part of a fraud investigation. But the sheriff's office in Collin County, Texas, says this is one of 3 stores across the country that were searched this week into connection to what they're calling a gold bar scam. Now, here's how it works. They say the criminals target seniors, often pretending to be law enforcement or other officials. They pressure them into withdrawing money, buying gold, and then handing it over to couriers. Detectives say the gold then ends up in places like this one here in Altamont, where it's melted down and moved through affiliated business. 2 men were arrested here in Seminole County just yesterday, Timothy Odell and John Timmerman. We were there as both of them faced a judge just this afternoon. They asked for more time to decide if they will waive extradition and voluntarily head to Texas, where they're facing charges.
Mr. Odell, you are being held on a warrant out of Texas.
Your Honor, we request to move it one day tomorrow, one day, so we can make a decision on that. Would it be possible to roll it to tomorrow's docket?
Okay.
We'd request the same result, to move them one day to tomorrow.
Now we are working to learn more details about their alleged involvement. Authorities in Texas say stores were raided there and Atlanta, which is where this video that you're seeing now is from. Last month, CBS News reported that similar raids resulted in the seizure of millions of dollars in cash and gold. Both Timmerman and Odell are facing charges of engaging in organized criminal activity and financial abuse of the elderly. I'm live in Altamont. Catherine Silver, News 6.
All right, Catherine, thank you. There is a lot going on during the legislative session in Tallahassee right now that you need to know about. First, a major elections bill is moving forward, and it is sparking debate about who could be affected at the ballot box. The Florida House passed House Bill 991 on an 88-31 party line vote yesterday. The measure would require stronger proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote. It would also add citizenship status to Florida driver's licenses. Republicans say the tighter rules are needed to prevent fraud and protect election integrity. Democrats argue fraud is rare and warn the changes could disenfranchise eligible voters. A similar proposal is also moving through the Florida Senate. Another thing state lawmakers are discussing, e-bikes. With kids and teens getting in e-bike crashes, the state Senate has now approved a bill to regulate their speed. Your Orange County community correspondent Talisa Hampton spoke with people who say it's a good start, but more needs to be done.
Well, the last thing you want when you're walking or running on a sidewalk is to be hit by an e-bike. So some in West Orange County tell me they're glad that regulations on a state level are being talked about, but there are other ideas they want them to consider. You can see them on sidewalks day and night. Electric bikes have become a hot topic across the state.
It's not just a problem. This is catastrophic.
Linda Shibley wants more safety measures after she was almost hit while running.
They were coming so fast, and I had very little, if any, reaction time.
Across the state, there has been a rise in deadly e-bike crashes. On Wednesday, the Senate passed a bill to regulate e-bikes, setting a 10 miles per hour e-bike limit around pedestrians, requiring yielding on sidewalks and in parks, and mandating an audible signal when passing, along with having a task force. Violations could result in a fine. How do you hope this helps?
And my hope is that it saves lives. I mean, e-bikes are such a great option for mobility, but the reality is that we see a lot of users that are not trained.
What's your reaction to this bill?
You can come up, I believe, with all of the laws you want, all of the regulations. If they don't know how to drive safely, it's not going to matter.
Linda has sent many emails just like this one to Orange County leaders and the school board to create a mandatory e-bike driving program that gives certificates.
They need like driver's education. They need to be out here on a street with a simulation. They can learn how to react.
And with that bill passing in the Senate, it now goes to the House floor. And if that passes, it goes to the governor's desk. Reporting for News 6, I'm Talisa Hampton.
Well, more than 50 people forced out of their hotel after a truck crash tonight. They're still waiting for answers. The owner of the 1876 Heritage Inn said repairs would take just a week, but now displaced guests say they are running out of time and money and out of options as well. With permits still not approved and an emergency shelter closing its doors, one father and his son tell News 6's Darrell Baker their only option is to leave town overnight without their belongings. He has the story from Volusia County.
This position that we've been put in, we have to start over again. It's been really inconvenient, especially the unknowing.
No one will be returning to the 1876 Heritage Inn this week, even though the owner told us repairs following a truck slamming into the historic hotel last Tuesday, forcing Ian Jacobs and 50 guests to leave, would only take a week to fix.
I had just paid 2 days before this happened, so that's another thing. We were trying to work on a way to get our money back.
The emergency shelter at the First Presbyterian Church in New Smyrna Beach, set up for those displaced, will close Wednesday night. Now Jacobs and his teenage son will catch an overnight bus to Atlanta to stay with family without his money back or any of his property.
His laptop was in there, clothes, everything, our belongings, so we pretty much lost everything.
Owner Stacy Conti says that access to the property is restricted right now, and guests can retrieve their property once it's safe to do so. She also says that none of the guests will be charged for the days that they haven't been in the facility. Also, their insurance will be handling the refunds and also other related claims. Conti also says that the city has not approved their permits to make repairs. I reached out to Orange City. Officials say that Tuesday they reviewed the plans and said that key documents were missing, sending a comment letter to the contractor. The same day, the owner spoke with the building official who explained what was needed. Conti plans to continue working with the city until the problem is resolved. In Volusia County, Darrell Baker, News 6.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton answered questions under oath from the House Oversight Committee today in connection with the Epstein files. The closed-door meeting took place near her home in New York. Her husband, former President Bill Clinton, is scheduled to give his deposition tomorrow. CBS's Erica Brown has more from Capitol Hill.
A motorcade carrying former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton arrived Thursday morning for her closed-door deposition in Chappaqua, New York, where lawmakers grilled her about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell.
No one's accusing at this moment the Clintons of any wrongdoing. They're going to have due process, but we have a lot of questions.
House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer laid out some of those questions.
How was he able to surround himself with some of the most powerful men in the world? Was he an asset for our government or any other government?
In the written opening statement she provided, Clinton said in part, quote, "I had no idea about their criminal activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein." She also accused the committee of trying to distract from President Trump's actions.
I hope that Chairman Comer and the Republicans will join us in demanding that the person who actually appears more times in the files than the former president, who we want to speak with, is President Donald Trump.
Former President Bill Clinton is expected to testify Friday, and Chairman Comer denied the Clintons' request to conduct the questioning in public, but said he may consider a public hearing at a later time. Comer also said the committee is looking into an NPR report that an Epstein survivor's allegations accusing Trump of sexual misconduct are missing from the Justice Department's document release.
We want to understand right now where the missing FBI files are.
Both President Trump and former President Clinton deny any criminal wrongdoing and have not been charged in connection with the late disgraced financier. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Okay, so I feel like I'm about to read something that's coming straight from the 90s. This year, when you go to the fair, you can also see what movies are available to rent at Blockbuster.
So the experience that makes you feel like you're in a nostalgic time capsule. That's coming up. The 90s wasn't that long ago, right?
Long enough. Yeah. Okay. Plus, another local police department is turning to artificial intelligence to help handle emergencies. And it could change what happens the next time you call 911. We'll explain why next. Jonathan.
The temperature is warming back up to around 80 degrees. Of course, we're dry. The opportunity for some rain is not that far away. We're going to pinpoint the potential timeline for that and talk about the drought increasing at about 4:47.
And as we head to break, we want to remind you to check out our primetime schedule on News 6 Plus. We have a new take on the day's news on News 6 tonight. That's at 9. Go in depth as we answer your weather questions at 9:30, then watch the late news an hour earlier. It's all tonight on News 6 Plus. Download our streaming app for free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
A new voice may soon be answering 911 calls in Winter Garden, and it's not human. I'm News 6's Mark Lehman, and on Thursday, city leaders will be voting on a plan to use AI with the 911 call center. A similar program has been rolled out in other cities across Florida, and now the city is hoping for successful results, saying all of this will help them respond to emergencies.
To have a 911 call come in and be able to triage that really, really quickly, I think it'd be great.
Jason Meeker has lived in Winter Garden for a few months and says he's on board with a new plan for how the police department handles calls. On Thursday, commissioners are voting to approve an AI system for non-emergencies.
I really think that most 911 dispatching, centers are usually overworked, and you get to the point where people who really need somebody on the line has to wait.
How can I help you today?
AVA, or Automated Virtual Agent, has been used by Volusia County for about 6 months. When it rolled out, the sheriff told us the system was able to route issues like barking dogs and water main breaks. It can also detect medical emergencies.
The person in the passenger seat says, I think I'm having chest pains. AVA was able to pick that up and say, stand by, I'm transferring you to 911.
Volusia has reported higher response times as well. In Winter Garden, the city says only 33% of the calls to the communications center are actual emergencies. The hope is the new AI system can help with staffing shortages and allow dispatchers to focus more on saving lives.
Absolutely can, free up those people to really work with, the emergencies that need a human touch.
The city is looking to approve a 3-year contract for this AI system at a cost of $55,000 per year. All of this will be voted on during Thursday's commission meeting, which is at 6:30. For now, reporting in Winter Garden, Mark Lehman, News 6.
All right, here's where you come in. Open your camera app, scan that QR code on your screen right now and click the link, and you can take our poll of the day. We want to know, what do you think about AI being used to answer 911 calls? You can select I have concerns, which is what most people are saying right now, or I'm all for it, let's give it a try, AI is taking over, or indifferent. You can also go to clickorlando.com/react and take our poll that way.
I like we have 0% indifferent because everybody feels some kind of way about AI.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in an emergency, I want to talk to someone.
Every call will be handled by a real human person. It's just the ones where you call and they can tell it's for a barking dog complaint that gets funneled to AI.
Which they shouldn't be calling 911 anyways in that case. Anywho, today marks the return of the Central Florida Fair in Orlando.
Yeah, among the many things going on there, you can relive the days of going to a Blockbuster and picking out a movie. Ooh, the experience is filled with retro movie displays and memorabilia. Now, the fair has been in Central Florida for 114 years. It took off for 2 years during World War II when the property was used to house Army troops. You can find it at the Central Florida Fairgrounds on Colonial Drive through March 8th. We posted ticket information and everything you need to know in this story on clickorlando.com. Okay, Jonathan, are you old enough to have gone to a Blockbuster, or are you a red box guy? Okay, really? Okay,
no,
good.
It was the best. Friday night, get some popcorn out there, rent a movie. I need Julie Broughton here because that's what we reminisce about. The 90s, right there.
So good.
And I know, and at least I laugh and you're like, it wasn't that far away. It's like, it's
far enough.
It's crazy far.
Calm down.
It's
Calm
wild.
down.
Calm down. Temperatures, guys, they're moving on up. We're back to the mid to upper 70s right now. Lower 80s even for us in Titusville. New Smyrna Beach, we're at 77. Leesburg, we're checking in at 76. The warm up is here, of course, and it is only going to get warmer. Cool shot here. Cruise ship leaving port. It's a live look with our Launch Credit Union camera this evening. Beautifully blue skies, just a few clouds out there. Air temperatures back to the mid 70s under those sunny skies. The breeze along the coast at about 10 miles an hour. Every now and then, though, we are getting those gusts pushing 20 to 25 miles an hour, and that is helping to fuel the fire threat again, at least for the remainder of this afternoon. Now, tomorrow, it's still going to be breezy. It's not going to be as breezy as what we've seen today, but you see this still gusting about 15 to 20 miles an hour through the early afternoon before subsiding a little bit for your Friday evening. That's also going to coincide with rain chances that are on the rise for part of your Friday evening as well. And to stay up to date and to track, finally, some rain coming away. Download the free News 6 weather app. Of course, it is free in the, just search WKMG in the App Store. We're at 55 in Ocala, 55 also in Palm Coast, 58 degrees in Holapa. lower 60s. In Melbourne, high temperatures tomorrow afternoon in the low to mid 80s. We're warming up before the likely potential for some rain coming through. Rain chances going up to 70%. This is mainly again for the second half of your Friday and then getting into the overnight hours into early Saturday morning. Rainfall deficit, of course, it is pretty big and it's getting bigger, now pushing 3.5 inches to 3.25 inches in Orlando, over 3.5 inches for us in Daytona Beach, and still in that 2.5 inch mark below normal for the entire year, obviously going back to January 1st. So we need some rain, and I think we do have some rain in the forecast. I know we have some rain in the forecast. I think we have it coming in the way. High fire danger today. That's the combination of the dry air mass and the strong winds. Tomorrow, we start to bring more moisture up, form some rainfall later in the day, but also the humidity going to go up a little bit to help, relatively speaking, lower that fire threat for Friday and Saturday. Again, everything is still very dry out there, but in terms of the atmosphere, we are going to get a little more moisture, and then we start to dry things back out again for Sunday, and that chance is going to go up again. And speaking of rising chances, rain chances both Friday and Saturday now pushing 70%, especially for the second half of Friday, and then into the first part of your Saturday. That's going to be the best opportunity. Here we go. There's 4 or 5 o'clock on your Friday evening. Again, we do have the opportunity for some pretty heavy rain coming through for the second half of Friday. Then we may take a little bit of a break and then fire off some extra thunderstorms again, at least along and southeast of I-4 for your Saturday afternoon. Rain chances again going up tomorrow and Saturday. Highs back to the upper 70s. Orlando City, game number 2. 20% shot for a few showers early. The match should be dry. 81 on Monday, hanging around 80 on Tuesday, staying in the low 80s, guys, Wednesday and Thursday of next week.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Sidewalks turning into overflow parking on John Young Parkway.
We'll tell you what can happen if you block the sidewalk and what to do if you see this type of thing happening. That's next.
Coming up in the morning, thousands of cyclists heading into town for the start of Bike Week. We'll tell you if Mother Nature plans to hold up for the event.
Plus, millions of Americans suffer from rare medical conditions. The new push to make sure they're not forgotten.
Join us for News 6 Morning, starting at 6.
Cars are always parked, blocking the sidewalk over at John Young Parkway in Old Winter Garden Road area. Is the business allowed to do this? Yeah, that's not a VIP section. That's actually illegal in Florida. Sidewalks are for people, not parked vehicles, and blocking one can actually create some serious safety issues. Think about it. Pedestrians, right? Florida law makes it very clear that you can't stop or stand or park on a sidewalk or in a way that obstructs it, even if it's in the front of your business. Businesses don't get to just claim public sidewalks as like overflow parking areas just because the lot's full. Happens a lot though. Public property will and always is public property. So if you see this happening regularly, it's something local law enforcement or code enforcement can actually address. And drivers, if your parking job forces someone to travel into traffic around you, well, congratulations, you are the problem. Be alert, be responsible, and keep your car off the sidewalk. If you got a traffic safety question you want me to answer it, head on over to clickorlando.com/AskTrooperSteve.
6 months since it launched from the Space Coast, SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft is returning to Earth.
At 11:05 a.m. Central, 12:05 p.m. Eastern, the Dragon spacecraft supporting NASA's SpaceX 33rd Commercial Resupply Services mission to the International Space Station successfully undocked from the forward port of the station's Harmony module.
Sounds good. NASA says several scientific investigations are returning aboard the Dragon. A splashdown is scheduled for tonight at around 11:45 off the coast of California. News 6 at 5 is up next.
Anchor Matt Austin is in the newsroom with what's ahead.
We're following some breaking news in Brevard County where there are multiple fires. Brevard County community correspondent James Sparvero will bring us the live update. Plus, the man accused of killing 3 people in Osceola County could be sentenced to death. The latest developments in his case just announced today. And Marion County investigators looking to inject some new life into a cold case. The reward being offered in the killings of 2 teen boys in Marion County. And your forecast is only minutes away. It's a beautiful day out at the beach. You can stream all of our newscasts and live cameras like this look at Daytona Beach for free anytime on News 6 Plus. We'll be right back.
Tonight, a new look at the suspected throat slasher accused of attacking a boy on the boardwalk. New police body cam video from hours before the throat slashing. Plus,
3 jewelry stores in 3 states raided in connection to a gold bar scam. What we're learning about the arrests here in Altamont Springs.
and the case of 2 Marion County teens shot to death growing cold. So the sheriff's office just upped the reward to bring new life into the search for a killer. You're watching News 6 at 5.
Now at 5, a highway shut down. A 20-acre brush fire breaking out near the site of a fiery tractor-trailer crash on I-95 in Mims. This is happening in the Blounce Ridge and Arantia Roads area, where we are told there were evacuations. But everyone has now been allowed to return home, although I-95 is closed in both directions. Brevard County Fire is now also saying that tractor-trailer crash and the fire are not related, after initially telling us the wreck sparked the fire.
Well, a fiery crash sparked another fire, and it's not so hard to believe because right now Central Florida is experiencing its worst drought conditions since 2001. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joining us now. Jonathan, we desperately, as you come in here, need some rain to try to help us with all of this.
We do. I think we have in the forecast. I think we're going to get a good dose. It's just going to take quite some time for us to kind of chip away at it. But we need to start somewhere, of course. We got a couple of inches last week of rain and across a good deal of Central Florida, and the drought got worse. So that just goes to show how dry things are out there. Temperatures, again, warming up, and that's helping to fuel that fire threat as well. You can see that Mims fire on radar working from I-95. That's what the green is, of course. Would love if these radar returns were rain, but that is not the case. That is the smoke plume that is working back out towards the northeast with that southwesterly gusty wind that is kind of pushing things along. And you see there the gusty winds, again, helping to fuel that fire threat as well. 20 to 25 mile per hour gusts in the mix through Titusville, back into Mims, New Smyrna Beach as well. A little gustier at times anyway through the I-75 corridor. It is pretty dry out there. Of course, the ground has been dry, of course, but from a relative humidity perspective, when these dry air masses come in, that also helps to have the fire grow and spread if one gets going. And we see there the relative humidity in the 30s and 40s, the critical numbers in the teens and 20s, so a little bit above that, but certainly we would like it to be a little more moist in the atmosphere. We are going to get that to change over the next couple of days. I'm going to pinpoint that part of the forecast coming up at about 5:17, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. In Brevard County, fire officials tell us a fire near the Holy Trinity School in Melbourne is contained.
Yeah, your Brevard County community correspondent James Barbero is there live for us. James, we understand everyone is okay, even though there were some scary moments.
I found where the fire originated from. This is the 5 acres or so that Brevard County Fire Rescue says was burned here. But as you can see, there's not much burning right now. This field, actually, it's full of a lot of grass, so it's just a lot of grass that burned, but there is some smoke still coming from the woods back there. And yes, I'm actually on the property, I believe, of Holy Trinity right now. And the good news for the school is that nobody was hurt, nobody was in danger, they said. And once this broke out about 1 o'clock, they actually started sending students home early. So they've canceled activities for the evening, but that's about it. Some other businesses are close in the area because this is the area of Wickham Road and the Pineda Causeway. It's North Melbourne and Palm Shores. So once you get out of the woods where I'm at right now, it feels like I'm in the middle of nowhere, but I'm really not. There's plenty of businesses, new businesses, lots of homes, apartment complexes, busy traffic at Wickham Road and Pineda. But fortunately, it's just a sight for your eyes right now. And nobody was at risk, thankfully. The firefighters did a wonderful job, the people around here tell me.
Glad to hear it. James Barbero live for us, covering Melbourne. Thank you very much. Back to that fiery semi crash we told you about at the top of the newscast. This one closed I-95 down this afternoon. This is in the Mims area near that brush fire. But again, we're now told they are not connected. Officials tell us that the driver of the semi died in this crash. I-95 southbound lanes have reopened, but northbound at the Brevard-Volusia County line, that is still closed. You want to avoid that at all costs. We'll bring you updates as we get them. Tonight, we're getting a first look That's body cam video of Daytona Beach police confronting the man accused of randomly slashing a 13-year-old's neck.
Officers arrested Jermaine Long on Valentine's Day near the Daytona Beach boardwalk. News 6 was the first to uncover it was not Long's first time getting in trouble with police on that day.
Your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed has been following this story since it broke. She has the video.
I found Daytona Beach police had 2 run-ins with Jermaine Long before they say he attacked the teen. Now, this video we got today is from their first encounter with him that day. But in it, they ask him about an object he had that he would later use in an attack.
Were you threatening to hit anyone with a hammer?
No, absolutely not.
This body camera video shows Daytona Beach police questioning Jermaine Long at a house. They ask him what he wanted from the person who lives there and why he wouldn't leave.
Then he came in here with a hammer and said that if he didn't give a name, he was going to hurt him, but he never raised it or anything like that.
This was around 8 a.m. on February 14th. Officers let Long go with a trespass warning.
Did y'all want him to trespass? Yeah, I won't come back. You don't got to worry about that. Did y'all want him to trespass? So if you trespass from the property, if you come back, you will be arrested for trespassing.
But 3 hours later, police were called for him hitting someone with a sledgehammer. Officers spoke with the victim and found Long with the tool. They trespassed him again, but did not arrest him. Then, hours later, police say he randomly attacked and slashed a teen's neck. That's when they finally arrested him, eventually charging him in the sledgehammer incident too.
That's still being investigated.
I asked Chief Jakari Young about that. He says the department is reviewing the officer's actions.
Obviously, I wish it would have been handled differently, but there's some factors that aren't being made public at this point in time because we're still looking at everything.
Long charges on the teen were just upgraded to attempted murder. Now, I did ask police for the body camera from the other 2 incidents, but I'm told those will not be released as they're part of an active investigation. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
Now to some breaking news in Seminole County. A crash on the 417 has shut down the southbound lanes. This is just south of Red Bug Lake Road. That's in Oviedo. You can see it looks like a pretty nasty wreck, and it is completely shut down there at the Oviedo exit. We're going to let you know as soon as this reopens, but it looks like it could be a little while. New developments now in the triple murder of 3 tourists in Osceola County. We learned this afternoon the suspect with a troubling past could soon face the death penalty.
News 6's Mike Valenti was in court today as the state attorney announced the decision.
A grand jury convened inside the courthouse behind me recommending first-degree murder charges against 29-year-old Ahmaud Bourget, who can now face capital punishment if convicted.
3 men lost their lives in our community. Our commitment is to their families, to the integrity of this prosecution, and to the safety of everyone who visits us here in the Ninth Circuit.
State Attorney Monique Orel speaking shortly after the grand jury's indictment of Ahmaud Bourget on 3 capital felonies, the counts representing the 3 shooting victims.
They should have returned home to their families. However, instead, their loved ones are grieving an unimaginable tragedy.
Robert and Douglas Kraft and James Puchin were staying at a rental home in Osceola County. Authorities say the men were waiting for roadside assistance when Bourget opened fire.
We will not rush the process, we will not politicize it, and we will not compromise it.
Part of that process will include a capital case review panel, which could determine whether the death penalty is appropriate. It's not clear when that decision will be made, but we do know that the next time Bourget is scheduled to be in court is in April for a competency hearing.
You know, he has a competency hearing April 20th. If the judge does deem him incompetent, I mean, how does your office proceed from there?
So our office will then allow the process to take place. We will continue to prepare our case for trial. It's important, again, to understand that competency and criminal responsibility are 2 separate issues. So just because someone is found incompetent doesn't mean that they won't eventually have their case taken to trial.
It was 5 years ago when Ahmaud Bourget was arrested and charged with shooting at a person and random cars in a Kissimmee gas station parking lot. A judge from the bench later acquitted Bourget by reason of insanity. Now, following Bourget's arrest last month, Florida Attorney General James Othmeyer criticized Monique Worrell, accusing her office of not prosecuting the 2021 case aggressively enough. Worrell has maintained that her office followed the law. I'm News 6's Mike Valenti, reporting outside the Osceola County Courthouse. Back to you.
Well, tonight we're learning prosecutors have decided not to file charges against a man caught on camera disciplining his young stepdaughter. We showed you the video after it went viral last week. Sanford police addressed it publicly. Your Seminole County community correspondent Catherine Silver has the update.
The video that has been seen millions of times is upsetting and difficult to watch. We do want to give you that warning again before we show it to you. This is what the state attorney's office has been reviewing for the last week, along with follow-up reports from different agencies. It shows a man grabbing and striking his stepdaughter. There's also some harsh language involved.
No, I'm tired of listening to this every day.
The state attorney's office is choosing not to file charges for two reasons. One, because Florida law gives significant leeway when it comes to disciplining children, and because law enforcement said the young girl involved did not have any physical injuries. The state attorney's office says the stepfather was disciplining the girl for misbehaving and fighting with one of her siblings in the car on their way to Sanford. Ultimately, they say they cannot file charges because the facts of the case do not support filing child abuse. In Seminole County, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
Well, tonight, Florida's top prosecutor says a unique retail theft scheme spanning the state has been busted. State Attorney General James Othmeyer says Keith Wallace faces 2 counts of organized retail theft, 3 counts of dealing in stolen property, and 1 count of money laundering. Investigators say between last July and this month, he stole from 75 Target locations from Orlando to Miami. Officials say Wallace would bring packs of baseball cards and taco seasoning packets up to the self-checkout line. Then he would just scan the seasoning packets, not paying for the cards. He would go home, sell the stolen cards on eBay. Target said they have lost 10 grand. Wallace made 40 grand. Investigators are also looking into thefts at Walmart and Publix. If found guilty of all charges, Wallace faces up to 90 years in prison.
Losing access to life-saving medication. That could soon be the reality for thousands of Floridians living with HIV. On Sunday, cuts to the AIDS Drug Assistance Program are set to go into effect. Previously, anyone earning up to $62,000 per year was eligible for the assistance. Now that number is down to just over 20 grand a year. The Florida Department of Health cites rising health insurance premiums and a lack of additional funding. Spring break is just around the corner.
Which means Central Florida beaches will be busy. Coming up, a story about safety from a pool.
It's a danger we see on our beaches all the time, but what does it actually feel like to be caught in a rip current? That's a question that's now being answered safely here in Volusia County. Coming up, we're showing you how this simulator can save lives.
It was very segregated during that time. And well, in Clermont, there wasn't that many people, especially black people here at that time.
They were the first black family to settle in Clermont. Now the home they built stands as a reminder of their history. Coming up, the legacy of James and Sally Townsend.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Launch Credit Union.
Spring break is just a couple weeks away, and with the warmer weather comes increasing concerns for beach safety.
But now there is a new tool rolled out in Volusia County to help show swimmers the dangers of rip currents. News 6's Mark Lehman dove in.
Every year we talk about what to do if you're caught in a rip current. You probably see signs like these all the time near lifeguard towers, but a lot of us have no idea what exactly it feels like. And that's where these simulators come in. Right now we're getting a first-hand look at how this works and the plan to raise awareness.
The rip current is a river of water flowing out to sea.
Churning up turbulence at Daytona State College, these portable pumps are the newest tool for Volusia County beach safety, showing what it's like to get caught in a rip current.
We're the first lifeguarding agency to use this rip current simulator anywhere in the country.
The Slipstream equipment was bought using grants through the Department of Children and Families. They're bringing in a twofold benefit: practice sessions for lifeguards and educational outreach for families.
And then physically put them in the pool into the simulator to practice those skills before they get in the open ocean environment.
It's the closest controlled simulation of a rip current, pushing out around 3,000 gallons a minute.
I guess the best way to describe is that, like, if you're running on a treadmill and just like wind right in your face and you're just like not going anywhere.
So I gave it a try myself.
All right, so now you're in it, so I want you to try and swim against it.
And was immediately overwhelmed by the rush of water.
So once you realize you're in it and you're not going anywhere, you're going to signal for help. And then what you want to do is you're going to swim parallel to shore.
With Volusia seeing more than 2,000 ocean rescues a year, the hope is experiencing this will give swimmers further insight in how to survive a rip current.
The more people we can get involved in this program and into these simulators, the better off and the more safe our waters are going to be here in Volusia County.
From here, Volusia Beach Safety will be using these simulators as training tools, and going forward, the community will be able to experience something like this during education classes that are expected later in the spring. In Daytona Beach, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Would be interesting to be in one of those simulators in a controlled
much
environment.
rather be in a simulator. You get out there on the beach like we're looking at right now, and it would just bring pure panic.
Absolutely.
And that's what gets a lot of people,
Right.
Jonathan Keggs.
That's right. It seems easy enough to escape one of those things. However, it's the panic again. You lose kind of train of thought and everything like that. So always important to make sure you're paying attention. Water's still a little chilly out there, even though we're warming things back up in the air temperature department. We're back into the mid-70s now. A few extra clouds pushing through. A wind right now out of the south-southwest at about 15-ish miles an hour, pumping in some of that warmth that we will continue to watch build as we go into the end of your work week. We're at 78 in Oviedo, Mount Dora. We are at 76, 77 in the Villages. Ocala, we are at 79. You can stay up to date with the forecast, and we do have rain in the forecast. By downloading that free News 6 weather app, it'll get you through all the rain that's coming in our direction as we move into part of tomorrow and then part of your weekend. Tomorrow morning, we're back to the upper 50s in Sanford, 58 degrees in Mount Dora. So you see, we have really turned the corner as we'll start tomorrow morning warmer than some of our afternoons earlier in the week. And then we'll continue to build on that back to the low to mid 80s tomorrow afternoon. That'll put us at 81 in Palm Coast. We're at 83 in Oviedo, Titusville. Good evening. We're back to 83 as well. Rain chances, you may have noticed that, going up to 70%. Most of this is for the second half of the day, but as we close in on dinner time, that's when I'm going to start watching for the rain chances to really start to spike. You see that here. Here's 4 o'clock, and you see some scattered downpours, maybe even a few rumbles of thunder pushing through, and then you see scattered downpours, a few thunderstorms going all the way towards about 9 to 10 o'clock out ahead of this cold front. Now, getting into Saturday morning, we could also have a couple of downpours, a few rumbles of thunder around. And then once we get into Saturday afternoon, could have a couple of more pop up, especially along in southeast of I-4. So watching this again for marathon weekend, 10K and a half marathon going on. Certainly the higher opportunity for some rain will be on Saturday during the race. Scattered downpours around for the morning, although optimistic that most of that heavy rain that you saw there might come through late Friday night into the wee hours of Saturday morning. In your pinpoint accurate 7-day forecast, again, we have a 70% shot for rain on Friday. That's mainly for the second half, dinner time-ish, and then through the early morning hours of Saturday. And that's mainly for the first half of the day on Saturday. Could be a few more again popping up into the afternoon, mainly south and east of I-4. Then once we get into Sunday, rain chances pretty much back off to 20%. Again, we're going to be watching that closely as we move forward. We're back to the upper 70s on Tuesday, 82 degrees on Wednesday. Again, those storm chances, again, starting to go up a little bit as we get into Friday and Saturday. We need the rain, guys. Not going to completely bust the drought, but we have to start chipping away somehow, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. It is that time of year again, soccer season in the City Beautiful.
And the Orlando Pride will be looking good and supporting a great cause. Up next, the new uniform unveiled today, paying respects to the victims killed in the Pulse shooting.
Your Thursday evening traffic alert. You're going to see those lane closures and ramp closures overnight. Westbound I-4 approaching State Road 528. Make sure you're paying attention out here, please. A lot of stuff going on daytime and nighttime, but the closure specifically at night. Then east and westbound along 528 out by Goldenrod, lane closures there. Then a complete closure of the Florida Turnpike. Southbound lanes will be shut down right at US 192. They're going to detour you guys down towards Kissimmee Park Road. Make sure you're paying attention, please. I'm Trooper Steve with your News 6 traffic alert. Drive safely. I'll catch you in the morning.
In about 2 weeks, the Orlando Pride will kick off their 2026 season, and they will have a new look for the new year.
Yeah, I was there earlier today when the team unveiled their Unity kit for the upcoming season and all the symbolism behind it.
This marks 10 years since the Pulse nightclub tragedy in the city of Orlando. Tell me about this Unity kit and all the symbolism that went into this.
Yeah, well, this is the culmination of a 2-year process with our partners, and it really is all about how the community came together and the strength and the resilience of Orlando during those tough times. As you can see, kind of the interlocking ribbon pattern that symbolizes that strength and resilience. You'll also notice a little detail down in the bottom corner, what we call the jock tag. That image is of a dove holding an olive branch, you know, the universal signs of peace and love.
Why is this so important, especially 10 years later, to make this statement?
We had the unfortunate opportunity to be the first sports team to hold a match in the wake of this tragedy 10 years ago. But the amazing thing that came out of that was the opportunity for the Orlando community to come together and to really unify. And that spirit of Orlando United has stayed here within Central Florida, specifically in Orlando. And this is our opportunity 10 years later to say we remember and we still continue to support.
Now, if you are looking to get your hands on one of the new jerseys for yourself, you can get them online. We have posted more information on clickorlando.com. The Orlando Pride hosting their season opener on March 15th against the Seattle Reign.
Good stuff. You were out there for the unveiling.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so that should be on display for about the next 2 weeks at the bandshell at Lake Eola. So if you're down there, check it out.
I think it might be a little bit of a loose
little
fit
big.
on me, but nice looking jersey anyway. Well, speaking of the Pride, News 6 now your official local news partner for the Orlando City Soccer Club and the Orlando Pride. So what does this mean for you? It means exclusive local partnership gives News 6 viewers access to full match replays and exclusive team programming on News 6, as well as team stories and coverage on clickorlando.com. And we even have some special shows highlighting the players, fans, and much more. You will get to know that team a lot better right here on News 6.
News 6 at 5 continues in our next half hour with an update on a damaged hotel leaving dozens of families homeless.
Up next, News 6's Jarrell Baker spoke with one family impacted trying to get their money back, and so Jarrell went straight to the owner.
And the feds are trying to figure out what led to a violent confrontation off the coast of Cuba involving a speedboat registered in Florida. As we take a live look at Daytona Beach, you're watching News 6. Keep it here. We'll be right back. Glad you're with us. I'm Lisa Bell.
And I'm Matt Austin. You're watching News 6 at 5. We're following several top stories for you right now, including in Volusia County. We're getting a first look at police confronting the man accused of slashing a 13-year-old's neck near Daytona Beach Boardwalk. That new body cam video is from earlier that same day when police questioned the suspect about trespassing, but they didn't arrest him. Jermaine Long is now in jail facing attempted murder charges.
In Seminole County, the state attorney's office will not be charging the stepdad in this viral video. They point to a welfare check where investigators decided the girl was not injured, and Florida law that stops parents or step-parents from facing charges over punishments.
And in Osceola County, a grand jury indictment against the man accused of murdering 3 tourists. Ahmed Bojay is now facing first-degree murder in the case. The attorney's office is considering the death penalty. Bojay is still locked up. More than 50 people forced out of their hotel after a truck plowed right through it a week ago, and tonight they're still waiting for answers on this. The owner of the 1876 Heritage Inn in Orange City said repairs would take just a week. But now, displaced guests say they're running out of time, money, and options. One father and his son tell News 6's Jarrell Baker their only option is to leave town without their stuff.
This position that we've been put in, we have to start over again. It's been really inconvenient, especially the unknowing.
No one will be returning to the 1876 Heritage Inn this week, even though the owner told us repairs following a truck slamming into the historic hotel last Tuesday, forcing Ian Jacobs and 50 guests to leave, would only take a week to fix.
I had just paid 2 days before this happened, so that's another thing. We were trying to work on a way to get our money back.
The emergency shelter at the First Presbyterian Church in New Smyrna Beach, set up for those displaced, will close Wednesday night. Now Jacobs and his teenage son will catch an overnight bus to Atlanta to stay with family without his money back or any of his property.
His laptop was in there, clothes, everything, our belongings, so we pretty much lost everything.
Owner Stacy Conti says that access to the property is restricted right now, and guests can retrieve their property once it's safe to do so. She also says that none of the guests will be charged for the days that they haven't been in the facility. Also, their insurance will be handling the refunds and also other related claims. Conti also says that the city has not approved their permits to make repairs. I reached out to Orange City. Officials say that Tuesday they reviewed the plans and said that key documents were missing, sending a comment letter to the contractor. The same day, the owner spoke with the building official who explained what was needed. Conti plans to continue working with the city until the problem is resolved. In Volusia County, Jarrell Baker, News 6.
Right now, investigators in Marion County need your help in solving 2 murders of 2 teenagers from 2022. Both victims were just 16 years old. News 6 anchor Ginger Gadsden has more on the new reward for this case. Ginger?
Yeah, Lisa, Crime Stoppers is now offering 2 $9,500 rewards for information in the unsolved murders of Kent Patterson Jr. and Kenneth Carr Jr. Both were teenagers when they were killed. Back on August 6, 2022, the Marion County Sheriff's Office responded to a shooting on West Highway 318 in Citra. That's when deputies found 16-year-old Kent Patterson Jr. dead. Several months later, in November, another teen, Kenneth Carr Jr., was found dead at Campground Cemetery in Reddick. Deputies say his body was found next to the grave of Patterson. Investigators say they are pursuing all leads, but believe members of the community may still have critical information. Each case now is offering a reward of up to $9,500. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers of Marion County. You can remain anonymous. That number is right there on your screen. Now, they say the anonymous tip must come through the Crime Stoppers program and lead to the identification of a suspect in order to be eligible for that reward. We, of course, will keep monitoring this story and update you on air and on clickorlando.com with the latest information. Matt?
Ginger, thank you. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton under oath today. She was answering questions in connection with the Epstein files. That deposition was closed door near her New York home. Clinton said she had no idea about Epstein's criminal activities and did not recall ever seeing him. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer questioned how Epstein was able to surround himself with so many of the most powerful men in the world.
No one's accusing at this moment the Clintons of any wrongdoing. They're going to have due process, but we have a lot of questions.
Clinton's husband, former President Bill Clinton, is set to give his deposition tomorrow.
Cuba says its forces shot and killed 4 people in a gunfight who were attempting to, quote, infiltrate the island on a Florida-registered speedboat. As Michael Yoshida reports, both Cuban and U.S. officials have now opened investigations.
A deadly gunfight in the waters off Cuba, near Falcones Cay on the northern side of the island. In a statement, Cuba saying border guard troops approached a speedboat after it entered territorial waters, and someone from the speedboat fired at Cuban forces, who then returned fire, wounding its commander. Cuba said its forces killed 4 people and injured and detained 6 others. The country's interior ministry saying the passengers of the speedboat, which was registered in Florida, were Cuban residents in the U.S. and heavily armed with guns and Molotov cocktails, alleging they were trying to infiltrate the island for, quote, terrorist purposes. The incident happened just over 100 miles from Florida. Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying the vessel was not a U.S. government operation, and the U.S. will do its own investigation.
Suffice it to say, it is highly unusual to see shootouts. It's not something that happens every day. It's something, frankly, that hasn't happened with Cuba in a very long time. But we're going to find out. We're not going to base our conclusions on what they've told us.
Florida officials calling for answers and accountability.
I don't trust the Cuban government in anything. I don't trust anything that they say. Their story has already changed, and so we need to find out exactly what happened.
We have got to know what happened from an international perspective and a diplomacy perspective.
The shootout comes amid heightened tensions between the U.S. and Cuba, after the U.S. ousting of Cuba ally and Venezuela leader Nicolas Maduro in January. The Trump administration has focused on the island nation, crippling its economy with an oil blockade, which it eased slightly Wednesday, along with talks of regime change. Michael Yoshida reporting.
President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff sat down for the latest round of indirect nuclear talks with Iran today. Iran's foreign minister says the country is prepared if a settlement is not reached. All of this happening amid a massive U.S. military buildup in the Middle East. Ahead of the talks, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said President Trump still prefers diplomacy, but warned Iran poses a grave threat to the U.S.
After their nuclear program was obliterated, they were told not to try to restart it, and here they are. You can see them always trying to rebuild elements of it. They're not enriching right now, but they're trying to get to the point where they ultimately can.
Meantime, the Trump administration is hitting Iran with new sanctions. The U.S. Treasury Department says the latest round of sanctions target more than 30 individuals, companies, and vessels who all have ties to illicit Iranian oil sales and the country's ballistic missile production.
Well, you remember taking your driving test and those road signs? Some of them can be confusing, a little weird. Well, tonight on Trooper Steve on Patrol, he answers a viewer's question about a right turn at a busy intersection on Narcoossee Road.
So I'm going to stop here, right here at the stop bar, westbound exit ramp of 528 to Narcoossee. Now you see that sign there, top of the pole, right to the traffic light. It's indicating a no right turn is allowed at all, okay? A no right turn is allowed at all. A viewer sent the pictures in a little bit closer, you can check out, and I want you to take a look. Look at that. So that's the sign that they're talking about, okay? So it's just a little bit zoomed in so you could see it. But coming back out here real quick, I want to talk to you guys. Look, this sign does not affect us. Why? I'm going to come to a complete stop here because I have no other option. Meaning, I am allowed to make a right turn here as long as I'm paying attention to what's happening along northbound Narcoossee.
Now, if you'd like to see the whole segment uninterrupted, just visit this story on clickorlando.com. Hit the road with Trooper Steve on patrol weekdays at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. on News 6 Plus, your streaming app for your smart TV, or clickorlando.com. Well, all month long, News 6 will be recognizing Black voices and stories as a part of Black History Month.
And tonight, we introduce you to the Townsends. Up next, a historic look at the first Black family to settle in Clermont and their legacy.
Temperatures on the rise today, back to the mid to upper 70s. Rain chances also on the rise. As we get into tomorrow and Saturday, we're going to break down the timeline for your weekend plans coming up at about 5:47.
Plus, what happens when the penny goes away? Florida lawmakers are introducing a new bill that is changing the way businesses handle cash. You can get a different take on the day's news on News 6 tonight. That's on News 6 Plus. Ginger and I discuss the top stories on News 6 tonight at 9. Then meteorologist Jonathan Kegas at 9:30 for everything weather. Finally, watch the late news an hour early at 10. It's all tonight on News 6 Plus.
And you can download our streaming app for free. Just search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Shark Coatings.
Well, Black History Month is wrapping up in just a few days, but you can learn about the first black residents of Clermont year-round.
The home of James and Sally Townsend is part of the Clermont Historic Village. The couple also founded a church that is still serving today. Your Lake County community correspondent Ashley Garrett learned about the couple.
James and Sally Townsend, the first black family to settle in Clermont.
It was very segregated during that time. Well, in Clermont, it wasn't that many people, especially black people here at that time.
The year was 1887. The Townsends moved from Georgia to Lake County.
He caught this beautiful fish, and they figured it was a sign from God that this was the place they were to live and be successful.
James and Sally later becoming the founders of St. Mark AME.
It was the first church for African Americans in Clermont. It still exists today.
Sally, a midwife, known to many as Aunt Sally.
If she didn't deliver you, she delivered your cousin, your brother, 3 of your classmates, maybe even your parents.
Yet another way the Townsends promoted unity in the community. James, a handyman too.
He ordered the materials and they built their home with help from friends.
Built in 1895, having once stood on Highway 50. Later picked up and moved to the Clermont Historical Society.
My wife and a few other people formed the Historical Society basically to save this house.
That group now preserving the home.
The original floorboards, those are the original wall boards.
James and Sally Townsend, known for breaking the mold.
During that time, when the Clermont was very segregated, Aunt Sally and Uncle James were buried in the white cemetery. And she had everybody in town came out to her funeral, black and white.
Likely just how the Townsends would have wanted it to be. Ashley Garrett, News 6.
What a story. Well, for now, pennies, they are all over the place, but soon businesses could round cash sales up or down to the nearest nickel.
It is all in an effort to account for the discontinuation of the penny. Today, the Florida House passed a measure after the U.S. Mint suspended production of the penny in November. A similar House bill is also ready for consideration by the full chamber. It would establish rounding procedures when a business cannot provide exact change to people paying by cash. We'll let you know if this penny rounding legislation goes through.
Pennies are gone. It's not going to happen anymore. It's kind of weird.
It is kind of
right?
weird.
Really
yeah.
weird. All right, temperatures. Now, they are going in an interesting direction. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, we had a great day today, and we have some rain in our future.
We do. So there's a little bit for everyone. We obviously need the rain. We have brush fires again popping up. High danger, high risk for fire today, and we have a couple of those brush fires again. 76 right now in DeLand, 76 in the Villages, warming up to 77 in Kissimmee right now. We are at 72 in Cocoa Beach. We're in the low 70s in Palm Bay this evening. Some cooler weather on the way, relatively speaking, over the next couple of days. That is all because of a weak cold front, nothing like what we just came out of. Here's a live look, Port Canaveral, Brevard County, with our Launch Credit Union camera this evening. Air temperatures back to the mid-70s under a mainly sunny sky right now. The breeze, it's light right now at about 10 miles an hour. It has been gusting at times to about 20 to 30, and that's one of the reasons why, at least through the early part of this afternoon, we had that high fire risk. Now, tomorrow we are going to keep things breezy. It's not going to be as gusty, but you see the wind going up to about 15-ish, maybe up to 20-ish miles an hour as we go forward into the early part of the afternoon. That wind direction still out of the southwest, pumping in the warmth, and that warmth gets us back into the low 80s. Look at where we start tomorrow. These morning low temperatures are warmer than some of the highs we had earlier in the week, where we're starting around 60 in Kissimmee. Also that for us at Holopah, 57 degrees in the Villages. Now here's a look at your afternoon.
Your forecast is sponsored by Advent Health.
Temperatures tomorrow back in the low to mid 80s. That's going to be before we start to increase rain chances a little bit, mainly for the second half of your day, starting to watch for some downpours to try to sneak in here right around dinner time and then really increase to the latter stages of your Friday evening. So watching that closely. Of course, we all need the rain. The deficit now getting about 3.5 inches, even more than that in Daytona Beach, about 3¼ inches below normal in Orlando. Again, this is for the entirety of the year. Going back to January 1st, we're about 2 inches below normal in Leesburg. Everybody now in a drought, according to the United States Department of Agriculture. Thursday, today, that fire threat on the elevated side again. It's going to go down a little bit tomorrow, not because we've added any rainfall or anything like that. Some of the atmospheric ingredients improve a little bit. A little more moisture in the atmosphere, and the wind backs off a little. We do have more rain in the forecast on Saturday, which is why that threat overall is low. But again, the vegetation is still super dry. And then it starts to go back up a little bit as we get into Sunday, as those rain chances wane a little bit through Sunday afternoon. Rain chances go back up to 70% on Friday and Saturday. Pinpointing the timeline here, there's 4 o'clock. And the opportunity is there for some downpours to be with you on your commute home from work tomorrow. There's 6, 7 o'clock on your Friday evening as we watch that kind of push of moisture coming in from the Gulf. I think we'll see another round try to develop overnight Saturday, and then a few more storms try to pop as we get into Saturday early afternoon. The afternoon stuff should be south and east of I-4. Orlando City back in town, 79 degrees. All those rain chances should be wrapped up by then, staying in the 80s early next work week, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. E-bikes are a hot button issue more and more across Central Florida.
So the state Senate is looking to make rules about them a little more clear. Up next, the latest bill just passed in Tallahassee that will impact communities in Central Florida and why some say it still is not enough.
Coming up in the morning, thousands of cyclists heading into town for the start of Bike Week. We'll tell you if Mother Nature plans to hold up for the event.
Plus, millions of Americans suffer from rare medical conditions. The new push to make sure they're not forgotten.
Join us for News 6 Morning, starting at 6.
For more and more people, e-bikes are not only quick, they are quickly becoming a major problem, with children and young adults ending up in e-bike accidents across Central Florida. Because of this, the state Senate has approved a new bill to regulate speed.
Your Orange County community correspondent, Talisa Hampton, spoke with people who say it's a good start.
Well, the last thing you want when you're walking or running on a sidewalk is to be hit by an e-bike. So some in West Orange County tell me they're glad that regulations on a state level are being talked about, but there are other ideas they want them to consider. You can see them on sidewalks day and night. Electric bikes have become a hot topic across the state.
It's not just a problem, this is catastrophic.
Linda Sibley wants more safety measures after she was almost hit while running.
They were coming so fast, and I had very little, if any, reaction time.
Across the state, there has been a rise in deadly e-bike crashes. On Wednesday, the Senate passed a bill to regulate e-bikes, setting a 10 miles per hour e-bike limit around pedestrians, requiring yielding on sidewalks and in parks, and mandating an audible signal when passing, along with having a task force. Violations could result in a fine. How do you hope this helps?
And my hope is that it saves lives. I mean, e-bikes are such a great option for mobility, but the reality is that we see a lot of users that are not trained.
What's your reaction to this bill?
You can come up, I believe, with all of the laws you want, all of the regulations. If they don't know how to drive safely, it's not going to matter.
Linda has sent many emails just like this one to Orange County leaders and the school board to create a mandatory e-bike driving program that gives certificates.
They need like driver's education. They need to be out here on a street with a simulation. They can learn how to react.
And with that bill passing in the Senate, it now goes to the House floor. And if that passes, it goes to the governor's desk. Reporting for News 6, I'm Talisa Hampton.
Ginger Gadsden is in the newsroom with what we're working on for News 6 at 6.
Yeah, Lisa and Matt, we are getting you updates on 2 brush fires burning right now in Brevard County. And we also have an update tonight in the case of a man accused of killing 3 men who are on vacation in Osceola County. What a Florida state attorney announced earlier today about that man facing charges. And let's take you outside right now. This is a beautiful live look at downtown Orlando. Look at this sunset. It's from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. It is nice out there. We're seeing drought hit all over Central Florida. We, of course, will have a look at your full forecast with meteorologist Jonathan Kagas coming up with that drought index and when we can expect to see some rain. That's coming up.
streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 6.
And we begin tonight with breaking news: a brush fire in Brevard County tonight, briefly forcing people out of their homes.
That fire is, of course, the result of those drought conditions we've been telling you about all day long, really for weeks. We have team coverage for you. Tonight, meteorologist Jonathan Kegas will break down those drought conditions where you live. James Sparvero is live in Melbourne, but let's get you right out to News 6's Alex Cook live in Mims, where people whose homes were evacuated due to a brush fire have been allowed to return. Alex.
That's right. They just opened the road maybe in the last half hour, and a Florida Forest Service truck is driving by me right now. These are the last few firefighters still out here working the scene. You can help stop that fire, and it looks like one of these homeowners just pulled into her home. This is the very last.
Okay, we're having a little bit of difficulty with Alex's shot there, but the good news is that they have just been allowed to return to their homes. James Sparvero, who is live at another brush fire. James, what's the situation like where you are right now?
Hi, Matt and Ginger. So good news, unlike where Alex is in Mims, here in the Palm Shores, Melbourne area, no homes had to be evacuated. And that's even as bad as this looks right here. You can see all the smoke from what's left of this fire. It's about 5 acres. Behind the camera, I can pan so I can show you just how much of the grass and the trees were burned out here. I saw Melbourne Fire, Brevard County, even the Florida Forest Service out here earlier. This happened about 1 o'clock, and there's a woman who works here at the Faith Fellowship Church. She told me what it looked like. Listen.
One of our coworkers came back from running an errand and saw the black smoke behind our building and came into my office and said, let's go check this out. So we ran around the side and saw fire flames all the way to the top of the trees. Immediately came in and called 911. The fire department was out here within minutes. They had a great response, and I'm so thankful for our first responders.
Great shout out to our firefighters. And there's good news as well for the Holy Trinity School. That's right here as well. The school told me nobody got hurt as students were allowed to go home early today, and all after-school activities were canceled. Now let's get that latest check on your forecast. Jonathan Kegas, certified meteorologist, tell us if there's any more good news for these people, if maybe they'll see some rain finally.
Yeah, I think rain chances are going to start to go up a little bit. Have to wait until tomorrow evening and into early Saturday morning, but at least those chances are there. What made today a little bit worse and increasing that fire threat that James was just talking about there, the breeze had kicked up big time into the early afternoon, as we talked about yesterday. The air still pretty dry as a whole as well. Relative humidity starting to come up as it does so through the evening. That's why those red flag warnings are just expiring now. The high fire danger warnings back to the 40s and 50s. Earlier today, they were more in the upper 20s, lower 30s, indicating the very, very dry air. We all know that the ground is super dry. Latest drought monitor now. The only part of the state of Florida that was not in a drought was right around Mims and into Scottsmore, Titusville. Now we are officially in the drought. We were in that abnormally dry category, which is just a level below that. But now the entire state of Florida in a drought. We have the extreme drought in red here from Flagler still back to south of Daytona Beach into Marion, the northern side of Sumter and Lake, and then also in southern Brevard County as well. Melbourne is considered to be in a severe drought right now. We'll talk about those rain chances. There are some on the 7-day forecast. We'll highlight the timeline and when those arrive. Coming up at about 6:17, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you for an in-depth look at what drought conditions are like where you live. Check out this article on clickorlando.com from Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. You can find it in the weather section of clickorlando.com.
We're also following breaking news in Seminole County. A crash on the 417 has shut down the southbound lanes. This is just south of the Red Bug Lake Road exit in Oviedo. You can see it looks like a tow truck has come in to move at least one of the cars. We'll let you know as soon as this reopens. Fiery semi-crash is closing part of I-95 this afternoon. This is in the Mims area near that brush fire Alex Cook was at. But again, we're told they are not connected. Officials tell us that this driver of that semi died in the crash. I-95 southbound lanes have reopened, but northbound at the Brevard-Volusia County line still closed. We'll bring you updates as we get them in. Now at 6, the man accused of killing 3 tourists in Osceola County could soon face the death penalty. News 6's Mike Valenti was in the courthouse today as the state attorney announced that decision.
A grand jury convened inside the courthouse behind me recommending first-degree murder charges against 29-year-old Ahmaud Bourget, who can now face capital punishment if convicted.
3 men lost their lives in our community. Our commitment is to their families, to the integrity of this prosecution, and to the safety of everyone who visits us here in the Ninth Circuit.
State Attorney Monique Orell speaking shortly after the grand jury's indictment of Ahmaud Bourget on 3 capital felonies, the counts representing the 3 shooting victims.
They should have returned home to their families. However, instead, their loved ones are grieving an unimaginable tragedy.
Robert and Douglas Kraft and James Puchin were staying at a rental home in Osceola County. Authorities say the men were waiting for roadside assistance when Bourget opened fire.
We will not rush the process, we will not politicize it, and we will not compromise it.
Part of that process will include a capital case review panel, which could determine whether the death penalty is appropriate. It's not clear when that decision will be made, but we do know that the next time Bourget is scheduled to be in court is in April for a competency hearing. You know, he has a competency hearing April 20th. If the judge does deem him incompetent, I mean, how does your office proceed from there?
So our office will then allow the process to take place. We will continue to prepare our case for trial. It's important, again, to understand that competency and criminal responsibility are 2 separate issues. So just because someone is found incompetent doesn't mean that they won't eventually have their case taken to trial.
It was 5 years ago when Ahmaud Bourget was arrested and charged with shooting at a person and random cars in a Kissimmee gas station parking lot. A judge from the bench later acquitted Bourget by reason of insanity. Now, following Bourget's arrest last month, Florida Attorney General James Uthmeier criticized Monique Orell, accusing her office of not prosecuting the 2021 case aggressively enough. Orell has maintained that her office followed the law. I'm News 6's Mike Valenti, reporting outside the Osceola County Courthouse. Back to you.
Mike, thank you. Now to a widespread fraud investigation in multiple states leading to 2 arrests right here in Central Florida.
Detectives say the crime ring laundered stolen gold bought by victims who were scammed. Your Seminole County community correspondent Catherine Silver is live at a jewelry store in Altamont where this was raided just this week. Catherine.
Yeah, we are here at Orlando Gold Refinery. It is right off of 436 and actually happens to be right next to the police station in Altamont Springs as well. Now, this is one of the locations that was raided this week. There were 2 other stores in 2 other states that were also investigated by law enforcement. I want to show you some brand new photos from the Collin County Sheriff's Office in Texas tonight. These are from all 3 jewelry shops. These images show some of what authorities say they found inside. There's the gold bars, thousands of dollars, and what looks like some of what was used to melt down the metals. Authorities call it a gold bar scam because they say the criminals would target seniors, pose as law enforcement or other officials, and pressure them to withdraw large amounts of money and buy gold. That gold would then be handed over to couriers and end up in places like this one here in Altamont, where it would be melted down and moved through affiliated businesses. Now, 2 men were arrested here in Seminole County just yesterday. They are Timothy Odell and John Timmerman. We were there as both faced a judge this afternoon, and they asked for more time to decide if they will waive extradition and voluntarily head back to Texas.
Mr. Odell, you are being held on a warrant out of Texas.
Your Honor, we request to move it one day so we can make a decision on that. Would it be possible to roll it to tomorrow's docket?
Okay.
We'd request the same result to move them one day to tomorrow.
Texas is where those men are facing charges. We are working to learn more details about their alleged involvement. Authorities in Texas say stores were raided there and Atlanta, which is where this video that you're seeing right now is from. Last month, CBS News reported that similar raids resulted in the seizure of millions of dollars in cash and gold. Now, those new photos we showed you tonight, the Collin County Sheriff's Office tells me that is just a portion of what has been seized and processed. Odell and Timmerman are both facing charges of engaging in organized criminal activity and financial abuse of the elderly. I'm live in Seminole County. Catherine Silver, News 6.
Catherine, thank you. To Volusia County now, where Daytona Beach police released body cam footage of officers confronting a man accused of slashing the neck of a 13-year-old boy earlier this month. This video is from the first of 3 run-ins police had with Jermaine Long back on Valentine's Day. Police spoke with Long at a house, asked what he wanted from the person who lives there. Officers eventually let him go with a trespass warning. Hours later, police were called for him hitting somebody with a sledgehammer, but still no arrest was made. And then later that same day, police say Long attacked and slashed a teen's neck, raising questions about the officer's actions.
Obviously, I wish it would have been handled differently, but there's some factors that aren't being made public at this point in time because we're still looking at everything.
Your Daytona Beach community correspondent Molly Reed was the first to find out about the multiple police interactions that day. She's working to get body cam video of those other 2 interactions, but was told these can't be released yet because of an active investigation. Long is in the Volusia County Jail facing charges including attempted murder tonight. NASA leadership, including Administrator Jared Isaacman, plan on holding a press conference tomorrow. Leaders will likely talk about work that has to be done on the SLS rocket that will carry the Artemis 2 mission around the moon. Right now, they're trying to figure out a helium problem that revealed itself after the 2 wet dress rehearsals. Your Brevard County community correspondent James Sparvero will be there asking leadership for answers to these questions. It starts at 10 in the morning. You can watch it on clickorlando.com. We're going to continue to stay on top of breaking news for you tonight.
And we'll have a check on your forecast as all of Central Florida is in a drought. Plus, as violence hits parts of Mexico, we're looking at what you need to know if you or someone you know is planning a vacation there.
Good evening. Ahead on the CBS Evening News on a very busy Thursday night, we're getting more information in about the deadly run-in between the Cuban government and a speedboat with U.S. citizens aboard. What we know about who was killed and what they may have been doing off the north coast of that communist island. Also, the stolen boat they were riding on. All that and more ahead on the CBS Evening News.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health.
A recent wave of violence on Mexico's west coast has some people worried about new attacks in popular destinations.
News 6 investigator Donovan Myrie explains what you need to know.
On Sunday, Mexican government forces killed the head of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, Nemesio Ruben Oseguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho. The Mexican state of Jalisco was briefly rocked by violence, raising concerns here in the U.S. about travel and tourism.
No one should ever tell you what is safe and not safe. That's up to you as a consumer to make that decision. What we will say is it's important to understand the facts of what is actually happening.
Jen Lee is the president and CMO of Maitland-based Travel Planners International.
Mexico is a huge country with 32 different cities, very much like how we are here in the United States. So right now we have friends and travel advisors and customers that are in the affected area, and they said everything has gone back to normal.
Lee pointed to the fact that Jalisco is on the western side of the country, while many popular tourist destinations like Cancun and Cozumel are on the eastern side. Cruise expert Stuart Sharon says most tourists are in good shape because of the flexibility of cruise lines.
The good thing about cruise vacations is that it's not dependent on an actual destination, meaning if there is geopolitical issues, if there's unrest, there's violence, the cruise lines can, as they're floating resorts, they can go to different ports or extend visits to others.
So, what's the bottom line? For now, Sharon and Lee both agree that the worst of the violence is probably behind us. But if you're traveling to Mexico, it would probably be a good idea to follow these 3 tips. 1, continue to monitor events in the country. 2, sign up for State Department alerts. And 3, if you can, buy travel insurance for cancellation and emergency evacuation. In the newsroom, Donovan Myrie, News 6.
All right, we continue to follow breaking news. Here's a live look at a brush fire in Brevard County. In Mims, a brush fire caused a brief evacuation for 2 homes, but that order, according to our News 6 reporter on the ground there, Alex Cook, that order has since been lifted. Another fire broke out nearby in Melbourne. We, of course, will keep a close eye on these fires and bring you updates on air and on clickorlando.com. But that's the situation we're dealing with everywhere.
It is because it's so dry out, and there could be a little relief on the way. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, the drought monitor is definitely cooking right now.
Yeah, we don't like when it's red like this. We don't like when there's any color on this map. That means we are very, very dry, of course. Extreme drought holding in the same place it was last week. The big change was now North Brevard County, where Alex Cook is, and of course where Mims is. Now we are included in that severe drought, or the moderate drought category. For the last several weeks, we've been abnormally dry, so not technically in the drought yet, but now we are the last sliver, unfortunately, of the state of Florida to now be included in the drought monitor. It's 100% of the state now included in a drought. 75 in DeLand right now. It is warm. That's helping to increase the fire threat as well. 76 in Kissimmee. We're at 73 degrees in Wildwood. On our way into the low to mid 80s tomorrow. Gorgeous sunset happening right now. A few of those wispy clouds out of the way. That is a live look in downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Skycam. There it is as we get the app out of the way. Download that for free. If you snap a photo of this sunset, I'd love to see it. You just saw that little pop up there. Pin it. It's the section right on the free News 6 weather app. I will showcase them at 11 o'clock. Need those pictures. Temperatures back into the mid 70s. A few passing clouds out there. The breeze is out of the south-southeast tonight at about 5 miles an hour. Now tomorrow morning, look how warm it is. We're hanging around 60 degrees, 64 at Cape Canaveral, Palm Bay. Good evening. We are at 60, 62 in Mitco. We're at 57 in Daytona Beach, a few notches above where we should be for this time of the year. Now here's a look at your afternoon.
Your forecast is sponsored by Strata Services.
And here is the potential for the relief to come in. Rain chances back up to 70%. This is mainly for dinner time and beyond tomorrow. 82 in the Villages, 81 in Palm Coast, 84 in Kissimmee, Titusville. We are back to 83 degrees tomorrow, and then the opportunity for some rain slides too. Watching this batch here come out of the Gulf, really looking towards 4 or 5 o'clock, so maybe commute time home for some downpours to start to increase a little bit as that pushes through from west to east. Then I think we try to dry things out a little bit overnight into the early part of Saturday morning. So that's going to be 7 o'clock on Saturday. Cold front itself comes through. That could spark a few more downpours. And then I'm expecting more storms to try to fire south and east of I-4 Saturday afternoon. In terms of the amount, it's a good dose. This is not going to get rid of the drought, but of course, We need the rain, and we'll take it however we can get it here. There's 8 o'clock, or the rainfall through 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, anywhere from a ½ inch, maybe even up to 1.5 inches. If you're under one of those heavier thunderstorms, you could eclipse 2 inches of rain, similar to what we had a couple of weeks ago when we had that cold front come through. It was very sporadic like that. 83 degrees on Friday. Tomorrow, 70% shot for rain on Friday, then again Saturday, especially for the first half of the day. 20% chance on Sunday, Orlando City back in town. Those rain chances will be long gone for the match. Should be a nice quiet evening, and then we keep things nice and warm, guys. I think that warming trend will continue right on through the first week of March and likely beyond. I think we're saying bye to the real chilly stuff.
Yeah, and glad to see some rain in the forecast.
We need it bad, for sure.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Ryan's here now with sports.
The Magic are back home for the first time in weeks.
February 11th, guys. That was the last time the Magic took the floor at the Kia Center. Yeah, it's been a long time. Tonight, they return home to face the Rockets to open a 4-game set. We'll hear from Jamal Mosley, who just met with reporters and padding their resume. That's what the UCF and Florida men are doing these days. Great timing with March.